722-5000. I'd love to chat with you.
Elliot's Travel Team. Air, sea, and land vacations.
When you or your loved one suffers a catastrophic injury, you need someone who understands the law. You need Yegendorf Rashid Injury Lawyers. Yegendorf Rashid's decades of experience navigating the complex legal system let you focus on what really matters, getting better. Taking on insurance companies in a civil action should be the last thing you need to worry about. New firm name, same great team. Yegendorf Rashid Injury Lawyers. Experience, knowledge, and a commitment to excellence.
Desjardins Insurance presents Know Your Clients. Playing today is Desjardins agent Janelle.
Let's do this.
Janelle, what did your client Kelly just purchase?
A season ski pass.
So you suggested
Winter tires.
Because?
They'll help her save money on auto insurance.
And?
Make winter her wonderland.
You are correct.
Yes.
Switch to a Desjardins insurance agent who gets to know what you really need. Desjardins Insurance. Exclusions and conditions apply.
Crave presents the new action thriller, The Woman King, inspired by powerful true events.
I offer you a choice. Fight or we die.
Academy Award winner Viola Davis. Witness the most exceptional female warriors to ever live.
Some things are worth fighting for.
A woman becomes a warrior. A warrior becomes a king. The Woman King. Stream now only on Crave. Subscribe now at crave.ca.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ziprecruiter.ca/Canada.
You don't have to look far to find the best spring hockey as the Sensplex Spring AAA tournaments take over the city starting this April. The National Capital Region will be host to 9 of the most organized and well-run AAA hockey tournaments of your spring season at the very best facilities. Join teams from across Ontario, Quebec, and beyond in what is sure to be the most memorable tournament experience of your spring at a Sensplex Spring AAA tournament. Register at sensplex.ca/spring tournaments.
Searching online for questions about your health isn't always healthy. You'll type in a question right before bed like, why do I keep getting hives? And whoosh, you're hurtling through an internet rabbit hole. One sleepless night later, you've thrown out all your lotions, body washes, soaps, and detergents because you're definitely allergic to everything. Or you could just talk to a registered nurse. Stop going down internet rabbit holes and start connecting to care. Visit ontario.ca/yourhealth to find pharmacists, nurses, and answers, and see all the ways we're helping you connect to care. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
This is News Talk Tonight with Jim Richards on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
A lot of people who have been paying attention to the show are very critical of it at this time because they know that I forgot to ask both Kathleen Wynne and Julie Black 2 very important questions. Do you want to take a guess at what the hell's in my shoe? Later on in the show, I think after 10 o'clock Eastern time, something has been in my shoe all day. A normal person would take their shoe off, turn it upside down, and shake whatever the hell's in their shoe out. But at around 2 o'clock, it occurred to me something's in my shoe. And as I was about to take my shoe off, I said, wait a second, radio history could be made. If live on the air, you take your shoe off and we discover what the hell is in your shoe. Now, it would have got really weird if I would ask my female producer to undo my shoe and take it off. So Andrew, lucky, a career high for Andrew, gets to come in here, unlace my shoe, and take it off and turn it upside down when we disclose What the hell is in my shoe? Another concern about the show is every Tuesday we do the draft. We pick a topic, like best one-hit wonders, have two musical experts be like two sporting teams and draft their best playlist. Today we were doing best sitcom of all time. And our two television critics have not supplied their list to us yet. So I'm frightened, actively frightened about what might happen after 9 o'clock. And don't worry, I know what you're thinking. Are you ready, willing, and able to scream at your producer, Christina? Yes, you'll hear that live on the air. Got 20 minutes to fill, so there's going to be a lot of screaming. Don't worry, Andrew, you'll get screamed at too after 9 o'clock if there is no draft. Let's talk about a story in Toronto. Could happen anywhere in Canada because Canadian laws are different from American laws. And we're talking about a 22-year-old who has been charged with second-degree murder. Some people broke into his house. His mom was allegedly being roughed up, and he has been charged with second-degree murder for firing that legal gun and killing someone. Here's the police look at it before we get into the legal look at it.
So this whole question of defending your castle and self-defense is going to be a very live issue at trial. And I think that it's one of these cases, I think that defense lawyers and crown attorneys and cops are going to be watching carefully just to see what the circumstances were. We have the right
to... Ari Goldkind joins us right now, legal analyst, criminal lawyer, a legal analyst with CP24, which for people outside of Toronto is a television station in Toronto. Ari, thank you very much for your time, first of all.
Jim, great to be on with you. And what an unusually fascinating case this is. So I understand the public appetite to know more about it.
Can you, and we're going to take some phone calls in this a little bit later on if people want to call us on this. Can you briefly paint a picture of American stand your ground laws, which are prevalent in states like Florida and Texas, versus how Canada views something like this?
Sure, and it's a great question because so many people in the last couple of days have been getting so much wrong about this by saying basically Canadians can't defend themselves. You know, the murder charge here proves that we're supposed to sit like sitting ducks in our home. There really is a very subtle difference here with stand your ground, and you're right to mention Florida and Texas, and we all know the famous cases. But leave aside the fact that in those states, Jim, those places are gun happy. For the purposes of our discussion about the law, that doesn't much matter. Because even if the firearm involved in this Milton case, and by the way, there's a really interesting discussion about what are these suburbs of the GTA turning into, where there are these sort of targeted attacks where, Jim, as you know, police are still stationed outside of this man's house because this sort of Yellowstone Wild West Sopranos thing isn't over. You know, even if the gun was illegal, there's still in this country, and I know this comes as a surprise to people after Colton Boushey, which got a lot of attention, and a case in Hamilton that got a lot of attention, you can still use as much force as is reasonably necessary. And again, I'm not going to get too into the weeds, Jim, for the purposes of, you know, not getting too wonky. But if you have a lethal threat, and by the way, in this case, there are 4, according to the police, at least 3 or 4 lethal threats coming into this man's home where he is with his mother. So long as certain things aren't present there, which a lot of people are not talking about, and I think they should, so long as a number of factors are not present, the fact that you, again, possess the gun, it's legal, but you shoot to neutralize the intruder on what we know now, 1 shot, not a barrage of AK-47 Rambo Schwarzenegger-like activity. That, depending on how the facts shake out, is still, and by the way, has always been legal in this country. But here's the end to my answer. I know that we're all going on what we've been told and read in the news in the last couple of days and what the lawyer has said publicly. I have a feeling there's quite a bit more to this story that we're not being told.
I also find it interesting that it has to be proportional to the to the force that is being used by, let's just put in air quotes, the bad guy. If his mom was being roughed up, I don't know how you, in a spur of the moment, are doing that calculation. I think most of us just react, and we're not sitting there kind of like thinking about, that sort of stuff. Ari, that you respond. You're not like, oh, mom, looks like she's being beaten up right now, but they're not hitting her too hard. But there's three of them. Like, how is that supposed to happen in a spontaneous breakdown of the situation?
And that's why we're talking about the murder charge, because the problem with the murder charge here is it suggests that there's an intention to kill, or, again, to get into the weeds on murder, we shouldn't do. But that's the part I have a problem with, including what we're told, again, by this man's lawyer, is that he only fired one shot. So to your point, which is why I think you're quite right, Jim, the police have said a number of shots were fired in that home. That's the reporting. If it turns out that this man fired one shot, not more, and killed the man, that makes this charge curious. Now, if it turns out that this was sort of an execution-like shot to the man, walked up to him point blank, fired into his temple, sort of like in the movies, we're going to have a problem. And that's why, as much as, and look, Jim, you're no stranger to what I can say, which is, if the police deserve to be criticized, I'm not shy to do it. They're keeping their cards close to their chest. The lawyer is doing all the talking, and he's not being responded to by the police. They can consult Crown attorneys if there is a doubt about the charge, which is, this charge came so fast. That's what sort of bothers me. And here's the other part that your audience may not know.
What do you mean? What do you mean that there's extenuating circumstances? Maybe the people who broke into the house knew him, and maybe he was like ready to hey, I'm fearing for my life, or what do you mean?
Well, I mean two things. One, if there's any sort of provocation or there's a history of threats and violence between these two groups of people, sort of bring it on. I'm waiting for you. Here's where I live. Come get me. Your actions, according to a recent Supreme Court case, start from the moment that the back and forth begins. It's not simple enough to say, oh, they just barged in.
That's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm only cutting you off because I have 1 minute left.
Please.
What I think is really interesting, too, is that you say you have to shoot the guy in the leg, but if the cops find that their life is in danger, they have to shoot for, what is the body mass, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
so
exactly
what is
right.
the difference? Why is that?
That's why I think there may have been a rush to judgment here. And the concern that I have, and it happens in a lot of cases, twofold, I'll get this in 30 seconds. Most people don't realize he may not get out on bail, this guy. Yeah. So if the reporting is as it is, it'll be murder, pun completely intended, for him to get out on bail. Two, sometimes the police overcharge, throw their hands up in the air because they don't want to offend certain communities that there's a dead guy, and they'll say, oh, that Crown Attorney's office, they'll figure it out. There's more to this, Jim, and I think it's coming.
Okay. Ari, really glad to talk to you. Good to hear from you.
Great to be with you, Jim.
Ari Goldkind is a criminal lawyer, but also a legal analyst for our sister station CP24 in Toronto. I want to take your calls right now at 416-872-1010. As Ari was very careful to point out, we're having this conversation based on what we know. 1-855-633-1010, 1-855-633-1010.
Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
I'm Colton Trail in the CTV newsroom. The Ontario government has tabled a bill that would allow the province to expand private clinics in the public healthcare system. The regulator in charge of home construction in Ontario is freezing the assets of an Ottawa company that abruptly shut down, leaving homeowners, contractors, and employees in the lurch. And a Canadian singer is drawing attention for a subtle change she made to the lyrics of "O Canada" at Sunday's NBA All-Star Game. Full details coming up in 30 minutes. Ryan Knowles is in the CTV Weather Center.
Partly cloudy and minus 11 overnight, feeling more like minus 18 with the wind chill, though. A mix of sun and clouds in the forecast tomorrow, a daytime high of minus 6 and a low of minus 11 in the evening. And Thursday, cloudy, feeling like minus 16 with between 5 and 10 centimeters of snow expected. From the CTV Weather Center, I'm Ryan Knowles.
That's the latest from the CTV Newsroom. I'm Colton Prale.
Live local breaking news.
When you want it.
Anytime.
Anywhere. Download the CTV News app now.
Hi, it's Keith Bean from beancars.ca in Carlin Place, and I'm here with our sales manager, Kelsey Miragway. Kelsey, what is happening?
Trucks are rolling in with inventory and sold units. There are trade-ins coming from the sold units. Keith, it's just so exciting.
Supply is getting better. We finally have about 40 Silverados and Sierras in stock. On the new 2022s we have left, we are taking $4,000 off MSRP, and GM is offering 1.49% financing, OAC, up to 72 months.
Wow, that's a deal. Plus, we are writing orders for spring delivery of pickups, SUVs, and sports cars.
And we're locking in all the variables. If you commit to an order, we will lock in your finance rate,
lock in your trade value,
and lock in the purchase price, all as long as we can build your vehicle in a 2023.
So please don't wait until spring. Stop by or email us now and let us go to work for you.
It's happening now, and it's so exciting at beancars.ca.
Are you struggling with glasses and contact lenses? Squinting to see the alarm clock and read street signs? Having trouble working or just working out at the gym with lenses getting in the way? Laser vision correction might help.
For 30 years, the surgeons and staff at Focus Eye have been helping people enjoy the freedom of a life without lenses getting in the way.
Call Focus Eye about a no-charge, no-obligation consultation. 613-724-3937. That's 613-724-EYES.
Laser vision correction has helped millions of Canadians enjoy crisp, clear vision.
Whether it's playing sports or reading, hiking, or just watching TV, laser vision correction can help bring your world into focus.
Call Focus Eye for a no-charge, no-obligation consultation and ask about their 12-month, no-interest financing.
613-724-3937. That's 613-724-EYES.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp now for free information on how to get started today. InventHelp provides invention services that help everyday inventors get started with their idea. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. Our services include professional materials needed to showcase your invention, and 3D animation and prototype modeling that help you demonstrate your idea. Get down to the details of your idea with a technical drawing. The InventHelp Data Bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Take advantage of the opportunity to get started today.
Call 1-800-353-6081. That's 1-800-353-6081. Again, 1-800-353-6081.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ziprecruiter.ca/Canada.
With Jim Richards.
I am about to, in a matter of moments, open up the phones. It's an exciting time in talk radio, folks, when Jim Richards goes to the calls and the enthusiasm and the listeners.
Callers.
Let me give out the numbers right now. 1-855-633-1010. 1-855-633-1010. Here's a little background. I want you to tell me that if you legally own a gun, somebody breaks into your house, and you are concerned for your life, whether or not you think you should be able to, in your home, shoot. In this case, shot to kill. Here is, from our sister station, CTV Toronto, a little bit more background on this. But I want to hear from you. 1-855-633-1010. If they're in your home and you're beating up your mom, and like Ari Goldkind was saying in Canada, you have to assess the situation and you have to use proper, you have to use the amount of violence that is being used against you. But I don't know how the hell you make those calculations in a spur of the moment event.
Neighbors on this Milton Street are still reeling after a man was shot dead inside this home on Sunday night. We don't know the victim's name, but it's believed he was one of the suspects involved in an alleged home invasion. He was shot and killed by a 22-year-old man who lives here with his mother.
It's still tragic, both sides. Life is precious, anyone's life, but it's not what you would expect.
The accused man has been identified as Ali Mian. Neighbors say he is a college student, describing him as pleasant and friendly. Mian has been charged with second-degree murder. Jag Verk is his defense lawyer.
He definitely has a right to defend himself, and that's going to be his defense. Obviously, it's self-defense, right? Armed intruders in his home invasion, and defending himself and his mother. So we'll see what happens.
Verk claims his client is a registered firearm owner and used his gun legally. The accused has no prior criminal history, according to a record search at the Milton Courthouse. Criminal defense lawyer Ari Goldkind says the so-called stand-your-ground defense is common in U.S. states like Florida, but the laws are different here.
But we certainly have a right to reasonable self-defense. This was a lawfully possessed firearm on the information we're told. One shot, and only one shot, was fired by this accused murderer to a number of home invaders in a story that tells us multiple shots were fired.
So, again, we just heard from Ari Goldkind about 10 minutes ago. Your thoughts. Let's open up the phone lines right now. And it's a huge caveat, because whenever we have, I don't know if we have this rush to judgment. We want to know all the information. Sometimes in America, all the information is put out there right for the court of public opinion to make a knee-jerk reaction, and everybody is screaming with their hair on fire. There's probably a lot of information that could be cleared up, and maybe they know each other, and maybe they're, I don't know. I have no reason to believe, as they checked in that report, whether or not either of these people had criminal records. So I don't know. I don't have... certainly in America, where it seems like if you look at somebody the wrong way, in many of these cases down in the United States, you can shoot somebody and get away with it. I don't think that that's what's going on here. But if we're happy that we live in a society where we're going to have a check and balance, and we're like, okay, we don't do that here, we're going to charge the guy and let the courts figure it out. I don't know. Knowing what, it's hard not knowing all of the information. But I'm going to say, given what we know, I don't necessarily have a problem. And again, that is a huge caveat, but we're a talk radio show and we're trying to figure that out given the information that we have. So 1-855-633-1010. Does the Crown Attorney have more information than we do? Probably. But Danny, Danny, given the information that we have, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know how he would have the time where his pistol should be in a safe with a trigger lock and his ammunition has to be in a separate lock box. How he would have the time to get his pistol, load a magazine, and get the ammunition from a lockbox, and then load a magazine.
Yeah.
And shoot this guy with a headshot or a body shot to kill him.
We, again, it's the first thing I thought of, Danny, so good point, but we don't know the timeline. We don't know, hey, these guys are barred, we are banging at the door, and we're not letting them in. Do you have then time to think, oh, if they get in, I'm going to get my gun because I'm worried about me and my mom? And during that time, do you have time to do that? I don't know what the timeline is. We'll find out in court, but I think those are all circumstances that are not clear right now.
Well, do we know that the victim had a pistol with him?
Well, we know it was a legal firearm, and so I'm guessing that legal firearm, that's all we know. We don't know how it was stored.
No, I mean the person who was murdered, did he have a firearm?
We do not know that either. But that is a part of the Canadian law. You have to respond with equivalent force. I don't know. And again, we don't, like, if somebody's roughing up your mom, and there's all sorts of stuff that we don't know. So maybe it's not fair to go to the phones and us to be the judge and jury on this date when we only know a certain amount. But I'm just. I think that it's an interesting case, and it juxtaposes us where we think that we're all better than the Americans, and we're trying to decide things. So 1-855-633-1010, 1-855-633-1010. Mark, go ahead.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for taking my call. I'm a legal firearms owner, have been for many years, and I ran this scenario through my head. What if somebody was breaking into my house? I've got a family, 2 young kids. I'm a really responsible gun owner. So the family was out one day. I'm in my bedroom closed, and I set my timer, and I ran downstairs pretending somebody was breaking in. I ran to my gun safe. I did everything. I've got 4 locks I have to go through to access my handgun. I then proceeded to load it. I ran back upstairs. It took me 6.5 minutes to do that, and I'm pretty quick at loading and, unlocking I know which keys go where. 6.5 minutes. So that was my suspicion, like your last caller was, if somebody's breaking in, usually, especially if they work in groups, they can get in pretty quick. It's a couple of kicks to the door, and they usually... So what are you saying? That you think that if somebody was breaking into your house and did have the intention of, robbing at any count, like, I mean, I had a friend murdered in Los Angeles because they came home and they caught the robber in the middle of his job. Robber grabbed a baseball bat, killed my friend. So, what is lethal? What is matching the same amount of force in that situation? Well, the thing is, how would you know?
Yeah.
You never know. The thing is, what I think is, and I've watched some security YouTube videos in the U.S., and what they're saying is if somebody's willing to break in the evening, chances are they're going to harm you. Daytime break-in might be a little bit different because they just want to grab what they can get and go. But if nighttime, cars in the driveway, people home, they're trying to hurt you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate it. Trying to get as much. It sounds like everybody's on this. And then those were guys who sounded like they were pro-gun. Last call had a gun or has a legal right to carry a gun. Here's John right now. John, sorry, I've got about 50 seconds for you to make your point. John, go ahead.
Hello?
Hi, John. I've got about 30 seconds for you to make your point.
Oh, shit. You got me?
All right.
Sorry about the language. Anyways, we had an incident out in Alberta. Farmer truck was getting stolen, and he did the same thing, and he got acquitted. So, you know what? I
remember that story. But I don't. Yeah,
and I'm telling you.
I do remember that story, and I wish I remembered more of the details. But yeah, he was somebody who was stealing a vehicle, and at that point, you shouldn't be shooting somebody over stealing your vehicle. A texter says, "What if it's a really nice car?" Not even if it's a really nice car. What if your mom is in it? Well, do you love? Straight ahead, folks. Oh, terrible. Sorry.
Have Happy Chinese New Year! Everyone is family at Mandarin as we gather to celebrate life's special moments. Enjoy special dumplings added to our award-winning buffet, like hargao and silmai, so everyone can feast together with their favorite people. And dine-in desserts like our delicious egg custard tarts will sweeten your celebration. Enjoy Chinese New Year with dine-in, takeout, and delivery.
A celebration of taste, Mandarin.
On until February 28th while supplies last.
When we look into your eyes, we want to give you the whole world. But that's not a viable business model. So instead, we're offering you complete glasses from only $69. At Specsavers, we believe quality eyewear and eye care should be affordable to all, which is a little thing we called Specsavers Love. Find out more at specsavers.ca. Conditions apply. Select pairs only.
A daughter who fights crime, a mother who writes crime. They're teaming up to solve cases.
We get arrested, you're covering bail.
But how to work together might just be the biggest mystery of all. The Spencer Sisters. All new, Friday at 9. Set your PVR. Only on CTV.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They can help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-288-4991. That's 1-800-288-4991. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-288-4991. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-288-4991. Ontario license number 4705786.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp now for free information on how to get started today. InventHelp provides invention services that help everyday inventors get started with their idea. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. Our services include professional materials needed to showcase your invention, and 3D animation and prototype modeling that help you demonstrate your idea. Get down to the details of your idea with a technical drawing. The InventHelp Data Bank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Take advantage of the opportunity to get started today.
Call 1-800-353-6081. That's 1-800-353-6081. Again, 1-800-353-6081.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They could help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-318-1940. That's 1-800-318-1940. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-318-1940. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-318-1940. Ontario license number 4705786.
Searching online for questions about your health isn't always healthy. You'll look up something simple like, why do I keep getting eczema? And whoosh, you're hurtling through an internet rabbit hole. 6 hours later, you've poured through every single online message board dedicated to every skin condition that's ever existed. Or you could just talk to a pharmacist. Stop going down internet rabbit holes and start connecting to care. Visit ontario.ca/yourhealth to find pharmacists, nurses, and answers, and see all the ways we're helping you connect to care. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
Calling all farmers. CTV's matchmaking show Farming for Love is looking for more single farmers who are searching for their perfect match. To start your love story, apply at ctv.ca/farmingforlove.
It's News Talk Tonight on the iHeartRadio Talk Network. Here's your host, Jim Richards.
A new layer to the story involving the Buffalo Bills' Damar Hamlin. You'll remember he was seriously injured, had a heart injury during one of the last, I think the 15th or 16th, maybe the 15th week of the NFL season, but doesn't really matter.
Here's the statement. Tonight's Buffalo Bills-Cincinnati Bengals game has been postponed after Buffalo Bills' Damar Hamlin collapsed, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announced. Hamlin received immediate medical attention on the field by team and independent medical staff and local paramedics. He was then transported to a local hospital where he is in critical condition. Our thoughts are with Damar and the Buffalo Bills. We will provide more information as it becomes available.
So that's from the telecast of that game. Since then, a lot of people have been incorrectly or stupidly saying it was because of the vaccine, including he gave an interview recently to Good Morning America. Michael Strahan asks the following question, and he doesn't get an answer, which was fuel to the fire.
After Hamlin was discharged from the ICU, the question on so many minds, what caused his heart to stop beating?
You're 24, peak physical condition, can run circles around me right now. How did doctor describe what happened to you?
That's something I want to stay away from.
I know from my experience in the NFL, they do more tests.
That was Damar Hamlin saying that's something I wanted to stay away from just because we're on radio and you can't see the visual. We cut down the pause between him saying that's something I want to stay away from and the end of Michael Strahan's question, just so we wouldn't have a lot of dead air. But, of course, the internet's going to internet, and it took that as meaning the vaccine. That it was the vaccine. And so I thought what we would do, and I could do this any way you want, folks. I could get a doctor on, I could do any number of different things, but a guy who covers conspiracies like no other. He was with us last week. You can check out, there's a podcast for that. Nathan Radke joins us right now from the Uncover Up. So the internet, and I don't want to say like everybody knows about this, Nathan, but I was, but not just because of the interview, but because of the whole episode involving the Buffalo Bill player, that everybody has been taking this narrative and running with it for a while. Is there any, because there's been so much talk, Nathan, about vaccines killing people, is there any proof of that?
Well, I mean, I saw that video too, that interview, and as soon as I saw that pause, I thought this pause is going to launch 1,000 conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
It seems so strange when it happened, when Damar Hamlin suffered the cardiac arrest after a hard hit to the chest back in January 2nd. But the official explanation was commotio cordis, interruption of the heart rhythm caused by an impact to the chest, like taking a helmet to the ribcage.
Yep.
And it happens 10 or 20 times every year during sporting events in America. And if this exact same thing had happened in 2018, it would have been a story about the dangers of professional football. But because it's 2023, of course, there was immediate online speculation that it must have been caused by the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yep.
And, of course, there have been injuries suffered by people from not just this vaccine, but other vaccines. It's very rare, and it's very unusual. But, of course, if it happens to you, it doesn't feel rare or unusual. It feels very, very serious and real. This happened with the polio vaccine. There's reasons why when you get the flu vaccine, they ask you to stick around for a few minutes to make sure that you don't have one of those rare but serious effects.
And listen, my first vaccine, I was so sick off of it, and then everybody tells you, well, that just shows you that the vaccine is working, and okay, but I felt like I had a bad flu for, 24, maybe 48 hours, and I'm guessing that for some people that could be a very harmful thing, but do we have any proof? And again, I guess we'll get into this in a bit. I'm just thinking that if there's any information that any of these big pharma companies have, that it would be a difficult secret to keep, or is that naive?
Well, I mean, there have been times in the past when medications have had bad side effects. I mean, we can think of thalidomide in the 1960s. Those were terrible birth defects caused by a drug that was being given to people for morning sickness.
Yeah.
But of course, when something like that happens, the story gets out, and there's attempts to correct it. Like, there's a reason that thalidomide is no longer used for that. The problem is, if we're talking about a massive cover-up, there's sort of a general rule about conspiracies. The more people that would need to be in on a conspiracy, the less likely the conspiracy is possible.
Yeah.
And in the case of the vaccine, there's just so many tens of thousands of individual researchers and doctors and professionals. Like, all of them would all have to be in on this together. Like, basically every health professional, every nurse, every doctor, every person who works in an ER. So many people have gotten this vaccine. If there really was this tremendous danger to it, it would have already shown up a long time ago. I was speaking to one of my contacts after I got my first dose of the vaccine, who promised me that I would be dead in 8 months after taking it. And if that was like a year and a half ago.
Are we talking to you from the grave?
Oh, no, that would be quite the story.
Yes.
That would be really something. But tragically, I'm still alive.
Okay.
And so
sorry, continue
he
your
just
thought.
he just keeps bumping the timeline down. So my most recent one, he said I have 3 years to live. And of course, there's no evidence for any of this.
Yeah.
It's just wild speculation based on a lot of, unfortunately, people who have spread misinformation and deliberate disinformation about this really important health matter.
And there's no way to answer and have a conversation with somebody because, well, you know, Jim, you're in the mainstream media, and of course you would say that. But what about the ones and twos of doctors who you can find to say some of these things? And I'm playing devil's advocate here. Why isn't anyone listening to them, Nathan?
Well, I would argue that those doctors have actually gotten a great deal of people to listen to them. The thing about science is, and this is something that I'm not sure everybody understands, is that it's built on consensus. It's sort of the weight of what do large group of scientists think about something. You're always going to have individuals who come out and say something different. But the thing is, it's a question of what does like the entire community as a whole think about things. The idea is that if you get all of these different people and all these different perspectives, that the hope is that that consensus will be more accurate than any individual person.
Yeah.
And of course, we still need those dissenting voices. It's an important part because those people are raising important questions. The thing is that you got to bring evidence to answer those important questions. Otherwise, it just turns into idle speculation.
Nathan, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thanks for having me on.
Love His podcast. We talked about it in general last Thursday on our segment, There's a Podcast for That. Coming up, I think... And that's one of the most confident or lacking confidence, dripping confidence on the air as we speak. We're supposed to have a segment called The Draft. We do it every week. Two people have agreed. Should I name them? Like, no, maybe not. No, because if they don't show up, I just look like a... They had agreed last week to come on the segment. I asked them for their 5 picks for the draft, which is supposed to be sitcoms of all time. 2 storied television critics were going to join us. Like our drafts, when we basically have 2 teams and we come up with the best lineup. This would have been 2 of the best lineups of sitcoms. Will we have a segment? I'm looking forward to one. But if not, what will I pull out of my wazoo? Because we'll need something. Find out next on News Talk Tonight.
The Morning Rush with Bill Carroll.
I'd like to talk to you about it because I've always found this fascinating.
Keeping you informed.
No one told me this was a thing.
Keeping you entertained on the way to work or working from home.
And inflation has proven to be pretty tough, pretty stubborn.
The best way to start your day.
Has the government done enough to cushion the blow for Canadians?
The Morning Rush with Bill Carroll on News Talk 580 CFRA.
CFRA. Always streaming on the iHeartRadio app or your smart speaker.
We are Ottawa's home for live, local breaking news.
This February on Stars, it's the invite you've been waiting for.
Are we having fun yet?
A brand new season of the cult series Party Down.
Now it's a Party Down reunion.
That's what everyone's dying for.
Plus the gangster drama BMF.
Listen up. We're about to take over the whole nation.
And fall in love with romantic hits like La La Land and The Notebook starring Ryan Gosling.
Very, very exciting.
Subscribe now at stars.ca. Also available on Crave.
This is News Talk 580 CFRA AM Ottawa, a division of Bell Media and an iHeart radio station.
It's 9 o'clock. Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
Good evening, I'm Colton Prail. It's minus 12, cloudy skies in the capital. More details on the snowfall and weather warning expected later on this week, and your full forecast coming up in just a moment. First, let's have a look at your top stories. We begin tonight with developing news. Several people are injured after a fire broke out in an apartment building in Overbrook. Emergency crews responded to the 200 block of Preslin Road near RCGT Park at around 5:20 this evening. Officials say the fire started on the top floor of a 32-unit building. 4 people, including 1 child, had to be rescued from their balconies. 6 people have been reportedly injured. The extent of those injuries remains unclear. The Ontario government has tabled a bill that will allow more private clinics to open and perform surgeries covered by OHIP. CTV's Siobhan Morris has more.
The government has put into legislation moves to give private clinics a greater role in cataract surgeries, knee and hip replacements. Hearing worries about staff poaching from hospitals, the Minister of Health says clinic applicants
have to work with their community and local hospitals to make sure that the services that they are wanting to offer are actually needed.
Clearing surgical backlogs can't come at the expense of care in places like hospitals.
Any suggestion that we take HHR, Health Human Resources, away from one sector to add to another? No, absolutely not.
Ontario's patient ombudsman will investigate complaints about private clinics. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The regulator in charge of new home construction in Ontario is freezing the assets of an Ottawa company that abruptly shut down earlier this month. Ryan Knowles has the latest details.
The Home Construction Regulatory Authority says it is determined to find out what happened at Highbridge Construction. In a statement, the authority's CEO, Wendy Moore, says, quote, Highbridge Construction claims the money is gone but will not provide the HCRA with any documentation to back up those claims. The Orleans-based construction company suddenly closed its doors February 3rd, walking away from half-built homes and renovation projects worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Ottawa police have also launched an investigation. I'm Ryan Knowles.
Controversy continues to swirl around Canadian singer Julie Black. The artist is getting a lot of attention, both positive and negative, for changing the words of Canada's national anthem before the NBA All-Star Game last weekend. CTV's Jackie Perez reports.
Black changing just one word, our home and native land, changed to our home on native land. Black surprised by the reaction, both positive and negative.
Really and truly, this is something I didn't expect to have this much just like activity around.
Black says her decision to alter the lyrics was done carefully.
I didn't do it without consulting with various people who are part of the Indigenous community.
Officially changing the lyrics is much more involved, requiring an act of Parliament. The anthem was last officially changed in 2018 to better reflect gender. An All Thy Sons command became an All of Us command. Black isn't sure what, if anything, will happen with this, but she feels strongly that she did the right thing on a very large platform. Jackie Perez, CTV News.
In-depth coverage, audio, video, and more at CFRA.com and CTVNewsOttawa.ca. Ryan Knowles is in the CTV Weather Center.
Partly cloudy and minus 11 overnight, feeling more like minus 18 with the wind chill, though. A mix of sun and clouds in the forecast tomorrow, a daytime high of minus 6 and a low of minus 11 in the evening. And Thursday, cloudy, feeling like minus 16 with between 5 and 10 centimeters of snow expected. From the CTV Weather Center, I'm Ryan Knowles.
That's the latest from the CTV Newsroom. I'm Colton Prail. News next at 10 o'clock.
Live local breaking news.
When you want it.
Anytime.
Anywhere. Download the CTV News app now.
That was some party thanks to my buddy's beer and joint. Here's the keys, joint.
Yo, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, beer?
Oh, since we had that talk, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs.
I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too.
How are we getting home, then?
Come on, Dave. Take one for the team.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
A message from Mad Canada.
We have producers who probably are well-educated journalists and went to Ryerson or something. Oh, can I say that? Toronto Municipal University. Where did you go, Christina? Somewhere important to become. You studied to become a journalist? Is that what you studied?
I did. I did a 1-year postgrad at Humber.
Okay. And now she's going to be overseeing what's in Jim's shoe. An hour away from that, what is in Jim's shoe? Blanket Jackson, 21 years of age. She can finally legally get a drink and drink away the fact that her father named her Blanket Jackson. Olivia Rodrigo turned 20. She's just 30 years away from Don Lemon announcing that she's past her prime. And finally, The Last of Us is... What is it? Is it a post-apocalyptic series on HBO, or is it how people who still get DVDs in the mail from Netflix refer to themselves? I'm Jim Richards.
News Talk Tonight is on with your host, Jim Richards, on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
We had the hardworking team that's responsible for making me sound so smart and well-informed and broadcasting like a well-greased wheel. We've had them behind the scenes saying, Jim, why aren't you panicking? Because I'm panicking. Because the highly regarded weekly segment, The Draft, doesn't look like it is going to happen. The Draft we do each and every week. We've done movies, best action movies, where we have, again, 2 experts in the field. And what we do is we have them both draft their top 5, say, action movies. We've done it with music experts on one-hit wonders and guilty pleasures. And today, we're doing it on sitcoms with television critics. Except, what is the latest update on the television critics who agreed to join us, Christina?
They are not here.
Do we name them? Would it be? No.
Maybe not.
Do I have a meltdown on the air?
You
and
could.
Then scream at them and who do they think they are? One of those? Or do I, like any other responsible broadcaster, not point out what went wrong and just go on with the show because you have so many other things to talk about? Well, I do have other things to talk about, but I would prefer to, on the air, yell and scream at Christina. We could call Tony back. Tony's like, you know what? I'm leaving, but next week everything is going to take care of itself because I've lined everything up. Everything is just going to be beautiful. But Tony took a week off to cat sit a cat in Toronto.
Hey, thank you for your call. You've reached Tony Tedesco, producer of News Talk Tonight with Jim Richards. I can't come to the phone right now because I'm a little busy playing with a cat. I should be free in a week or so. I'll talk to you then.
Okay. So he can't bail us out. We need somebody to bail us out. And that person is going to be our tech expert, Carmi Levy, who we phone called moments ago. This reminds me when I was, Carmi, I've told this story before, but I was on a late night Canadian television show once. When they called me, they said, hey, you know what? The host likes what you do and wants you on the air. And I said, that's very nice of them. When would they want me on? And the producer, the booking guy, said to me, can you be here in 15 minutes? And I was like, no. At that point, I lived in the suburbs, and I said I couldn't be there in 15 minutes. And of course, I asked, why? Who canceled? And I was the seat filler on the show for some 10-year-old who won a spelling bee. That's my claim to fame of how I got on television.
But there is no better seat filler than you, Jim.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much.
That's why they called you.
A lot to talk about in an unscheduled visit from Carmi Levy. And I would love to hear from you at 1-855-633-1010, because I honestly do not understand. And I think you're one of the people that I don't understand, Carmi. I'm seeing it all over, well, especially Twitter, people saying, all right, Netflix, if that's the way you're going to be, goodbye, Netflix. And then the next tweet is, can somebody tell me how I can still watch my favorite Netflix show without stealing the password from my mom and dad? So at 1-855-633-1010, I'm like, you get what you pay for. And if you're wondering why the content isn't being made, maybe in the volumes that you've wanted to see it before, maybe blame yourself. Netflix, I guess they're not growing any longer, and it's because, Carmi, people are stealing passwords. I don't understand why people are mad at Netflix. Do you, and are you?
Well, I'm not mad at Netflix for wanting to make money. The numbers are actually kind of scary. Last year, Netflix spent $17 billion, and that's American real dollars, on content, on new content. And that was up from $11 billion the year before. They're facing massive competition from Apple, from Amazon, from Disney, right? Everyone's outspending, everyone's spending. And that's the way the game is played. And so, it costs money to make good content. There is no free lunch. And the flip side is that after years of being the only player in town, now there is competition. They're no longer growing at the rate they used to. Last year, for a couple of quarters, they even shrank their user base.
Yeah.
And so if you look at their numbers, about 230 million people around the world subscribe to them. But what's frightening here is they say 100 million people are getting it for free. They're gaining access to Netflix via password sharing. So when you look at, sort of the slowing growth, spiraling expenses on new content, something's got to give, and because they're in such dire straits at this point, they have no choice but to so finally look at those 100 million people and say, we've been leaving billions of dollars of revenue on the table. We've got to get that back. So I don't begrudge them. I think it makes sense. I think we all have to recognize good content costs money, but there are ways of going about getting that money back, and there are ways to not go about getting that money back. So I'm glad that Netflix is doing something. I'm just not glad that they're punishing everyone else and making us jump through hoops in order to maintain our access to it. That's the problem.
Okay. I don't know that that's why people are angry, though, and they're deciding to leave. I could be wrong. Why are you angry with Netflix? On the Why Are You Angry with Netflix number, 1-855-633-1010, east of the Rockies, 1-855-863, is that right? 1-855-633-1010, 1-855-633-1010. So you're angry that everybody is being punished for the fact that they're trying to figure out who I don't know what percentage of that would be, but I'm guessing the percentage of people who are stealing it, they're making everybody do it.
Yeah, and so no matter whether you're sharing or not, as of today, you have to go into your settings and set what's called a primary location. And basically that's usually probably your primary, your home, where your Wi-Fi network is in your house. But the problem here is, what happens if you have a cottage? What happens if you're traveling? What happens if you've got a kid at university who's a member of your household but happens to live across town or maybe in another city, but is still your kid? And so there are provisions that you go through. In other words, you have to go home to your primary location if you're away at least once every 31 days. That's a hassle. And if you fail to do that, your account goes dark, and then you've got to call Netflix and beg. And so basically, and what happens when you travel for business, you got to go through this, get this special waiver that lasts for 7 days.
I'm sorry, I only have 40 seconds left. You'd think there'd be like almost I would call it the dial-up cure, where only one person could use it as a time. I guess that comes into a problem in a household, because your kids might be using it upstairs. But never mind. I thought I had a solution, but apparently it doesn't work. So you're just angry with the way they're going about it, not that they're going about it. I'm sorry. Yeah. I got to take a break here. Carmi, thank you for being a last minute fill-in, and we'll talk to you probably later this week.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
All right. I don't think that's everybody's complaint, though. I think they're just complaining that they're going to lose Netflix. I mean, well, we'll talk about that in a second. What's your complaint about what Netflix is doing? 1-855-633-1010.
Hi there, it's Jan Arden from the Jan Arden Podcast. Can you believe they gave me one of those of my very own? We've got new episodes for you every week with special guests, hot takes, popular and some unpopular opinions, and maybe a little bit of showbiz gossip. Search the Jan Arden Podcast wherever you get your podcasts and follow along at Jan Arden Pod so we can tell you who and what's coming up.
Hi, it's Keith Bean from beancars.ca in Carlin Place, and I'm here with our sales manager, Kelsey Miragway. Kelsey, what is happening?
Trucks are rolling in with inventory and sold units. There are trade-ins coming from the sold units. Keith, it's just so exciting.
Supply is getting better. We finally have about 40 Silverados and Sierras in stock. On the new 2022s we have left, we are taking $4,000 off MSRP, and GM is offering 1.49% financing, OAC, up to 72 months.
Wow, that's a deal. Plus, we are writing orders for spring delivery of pickups, SUVs, and sports cars.
And we're locking in all the variables. If you commit to an order, we will lock in your finance rate,
lock in your trade value,
and lock in the purchase price, all as long as we can build your vehicle in a 2023.
So please don't wait until spring. Stop by or email us now and let us go to work for you.
It's happening now, and it's so exciting at beancars.ca.
At Desjardins, every season is the right season to contribute to your RRSP or TFSA.
Even alpine skiing season?
Yep.
Oh yeah? And golf season?
Absolutely.
And what about tennis season?
You bet.
Okay. And hockey season?
For sure. Are you the sporty type?
No, I'm the TV type.
Oh.
The defenseman winds and fires and scores!
Contribute to your Desjardins RRSP or TFSA today.
This season, get the hottest deals for the coldest streets. Only at Streetswear Kids. Zip up for a better night's sleep on the street with the pavement parka. Step on broken glass and needles with Kevlar kicks. Panhandle in a cashless society with the Tap Me Teddy. Now for 20% off. Because the truth is, 20% of Canadians facing homelessness are youth. This collection doesn't exist. Neither should youth homelessness. Buy a toque at raisingtheroof.org and help end youth homelessness.
My guest has seen humanity's worst, and the life he was offered as a child is such that he has every reason to give up and simply surrender to his realities.
The first time that you get tortured, you cry your heart out, and they never leave you alone.
He didn't. In fact, he's chosen a path in life of bettering others' lives. His name is Dr. Emmanuel Taban, and this is his amazing story.
Chatter That Matters with Tony Chapman. Presented by RBC. Friday at noon, right here on News Talk 580 CFRA, Ottawa's home for breaking news.
Fill your cart with Reno Carlton Casino's food, fuel, and fun giveaway with over $50,000 in prizes to be won. Every Friday and Saturday from February 3rd to the 25th, 27 daily winners will get $50 in gift cards, and 10 even luckier winners will receive $500 in gift cards. Plus, guests 50 or better are invited to join us Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the classic Rockers treatment. It's Ottawa's one and only Reno Carlton Casino, Future Hard Rock. Play smart, must be a Rockstar Rewards member and 19 years of age or older.
Oh, no way! Are you kidding me? Get me that vacay. We love a deal as much as the next person, but this is something different. We're experts at getting you that sun getaway you didn't think you could score. And with deals on the destinations you've always wanted to visit, it's a no-brainer. Let's make your dream getaway happen. In-store in Canada on Hazeldean Road, online, or just give us a call.
SellOutVacations.com.
At TSN, our hockey insiders work their sources year-round. The biggest trade day on the NHL calendar. So when a GM makes a move, you'll know the story from every angle, on every platform. Trade Center begins Friday, March 3rd at 8 a.m. on TSN.
The coldest night of the year, presented by District Realty Ottawa in support of the Ottawa Mission, is back in person. The coldest night of the year is a family-friendly walk to raise money for local charities serving people in our community who are experiencing hunger and homelessness. Join us this year in person, Saturday, February 25th, for a great night filled with teams walking and fundraising for those struggling in our community. Let's gather for good. To register and start fundraising, visit cnoy.org. Proudly sponsored by CTV Ottawa and News Talk 580 CFRA.
Introducing TSN Plus.
What a game changer.
Canada's new home for PGA Tour Live.
Are you kidding me?
Exclusive data-enhanced feeds, plus more goals, dunks, aces, and speed. Visit tsn.ca/TSN Plus to learn more.
This is News Talk 580 CFRA. This is News Talk Tonight with Jim Richards on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
I'm not screaming at people. I know people think, well, maybe you don't think anything. But behind the scenes, I'm like, okay, where are our guests? It's not anybody who works here right now's fault. But where are our guests for the draft? And then one joins us. They were supposed to be here at 9 o'clock. Then one joins us at 9:15. And I need two people. And did you want to correct that, Andrew? No, you didn't want to. And then you guys don't care, right? Like behind the scenes stuff. Nobody cares about behind the scenes stuff. And so the one that did join us, I don't know. Like it starts at 9:05. Like what do you want me to tell you? I've pivoted already. Once you pivot, you can't. I mean, when you zig. You can zag, but you can't zig back. I don't think. When I zig, I did zag. They zigged by not showing up. I zagged by pivoting to something else. But then when they're late, they expect me to do a half-hour segment in half the time? I've already zigged. Christina, did you tell them that there was already a zig? We're in the process of zigging. And then we zagged, and there's no way Jim is zigging back. Did you tell them that, Christina?
I didn't use the zig and zag, but...
Well, you should have. Did you learn anything in journalism school?
I will be sure to use that.
Did any of your professors in journalism school tell you once you've zigged and then zagged, there's no zigging back?
I mean, more or less.
More or less. Okay, then you were educated really well. Thank you very much. Right now, we're continuing with the segment called Filling In. This is the fill-in topic. This was not planned for tonight, but I do think it's a good topic. I see so many people that are... I would love to see if you love The Boys, the team... What else is on Netflix? I like The Boys. I'd like to see you and your reaction to low-budget boys. What do you mean? Andrew, you like The Boys. You're stealing Netflix, right? You are stealing Netflix.
Well, for that one, I have a password, so I don't need to.
Is it yours? Are you paying for it?
It's my sister's.
Okay, so you're part of the problem. And how would you love it if a low-budget The Boys was on and it didn't look half or any good because they're like, hey, guys, we got to do this on a shoestring budget because... half of you were stealing the product.
Fair enough. I guess I can agree with you there.
Thank you. What did you tell me? If your sister, you couldn't use your sister's password any longer, and he won't tell us where his sister lives.
Plead
by the way,
the fifth on the air.
Okay, maybe not him, but somebody might not have been Andrew, but somebody said that they know how to get all of the content illegally. So let's go to Jeff, who has been rubbernecking all of this. Jeff, why are you angry, by the way, at Netflix? Because I didn't understand why everybody was angry until Carmi told us why they're angry. And everybody's got to answer for the fact that everybody is stealing, right?
Yeah, well, listen, I'll give you honest.
Jeff, could you sound further away, please? Could you... Or could you pick up the phone? Could you just pick up? Yeah, thank you.
All right. So I'm going to admit I've never read the terms and conditions of my Netflix accounts. I can't tell you anything legally about what we're supposed to do. But I know that when I started my account,
can I just interrupt you for a second, Jeff? I should have, when we didn't get our guests for the draft, I should have started just a half hour, me reading the terms and conditions of the Netflix agreement.
Would have covered a lot of time.
Yeah, it would have taken a lot of time. That's what I should have done. That's what I will threaten them with, their voicemail. I'm going to call both the guests back after the show and just leave them voicemail after voicemail after voicemail of me reading the terms and conditions. But I interrupted a very good point you were making. Go ahead.
Well, so all I was saying is that we shared their account for 10 years. I canceled it yesterday. I was sharing it with my sibling. And what we realized is that we probably started paying around $7.99, $9.99 a month when it started. They gave you the separate account. They say you can set one up for this one, your friend, your whoever, and you have your little icon, your little avatar for your Netflix account. So in my understanding, I never thought, just as a general thought, why would I have someone watching TV downstairs, upstairs? Like, is that what they're envisioning, that 4 people are in a house watching the same service? It just doesn't make any sense. So when you can have it on your phone, when you can watch it at work, and you can watch it on your laptop, the understanding is that you're paying it for on different locations. You're paying $20 a month. They had an easy $20 from me for the past 2 years, and now they had me for 10 years easy, and now they just got rid of me. And like I say, it's fine. There are other options. And yes, there are other places where you can find the Netflix shows.
You would think in technology, we can do all the things that we could do. There would be a better way of discerning, whether it's you or not. And I guess that's what they're trying to do.
I don't know if you have a Spotify account, but like when you listen to Spotify and then you're listening on too many devices or whatever, they just politely tell you they cut you off and then you're done. So if they did that for this, it would solve their problem, I think, at least.
I mean, if you have 2 kids, if you like watching the basketball game and your wife wanted to watch whatever your wife wants to watch, and you had 2 kids and they're into whatever, and kids have TVs in their own room. But that would make sense. But if they're all like geospotting, you can geospot that to see it's in the same area. But I don't know. Maybe it's maybe it's like I travel a lot because I'm an executive, or we have a cottage, or I take an Airbnb every other week. I don't know what the answer would be, but if you're outside your jurisdiction, you pay a different level of fees or something.
Or they just cut you off. Because look at just one last point.
Aren't you going to? I'm going to make your one last point.
Well, yeah, I'll just say, check out their stock price. It's been diving over the past week since they've been making these announcements.
So you're cutting it off because of the fact that it's like in grade school. Everybody's going to be punished unless somebody steps forward and tells us who's stealing Netflix. Everybody's going to get attention.
I'm cutting it off because it just doesn't make. I don't want to pay for cable. And with all these different services, it's like we're paying for cable again.
It is true. I know. I'm paying for cable, although it's the best stuff around. It's 5 from Bell. Could never give that up. It's just so good. But then I have every service. I have do you want me to go through my services? Nobody cares, right? What level of nobody cares is me going through? No, I'm not trying to kill time because 2 guests are ignorant. Here's Adam, who's in North York. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, so when people tell you it isn't about the money, it's always about the money.
Sure it is, yeah.
And so I even Carmi, I don't know. But
Carmi was saying that the stock price, the number of people, and that their growth, there probably is not a hell of a lot more growth for their product unless they crack down on people sharing passwords.
Right. And so people are just upset they're going to have to pay for something they've been stealing for 10 years. And also, I mean, Netflix has been the greatest thing that's ever happened to foreign language movies.
Yep.
I mean, think about it. Do you think that we would have ever watched Squid Games?
No.
Especially you when you were being stolen from. I remember that. That was the best interview ever. And that zigging and zagging on you, I just zigzagged you.
You did.
Anyway, thank you. You're fabulous.
Thank you, Adam. Call back again in another time when these guys stiff us next week. It's funny, they've stiffed us twice, but we keep going back to these guys going, I think this week will come on. Maybe they'll like us this week. Honestly, I think this is the 3rd week. At least they gave us notice the other time they stiffed us. They were like, they would commit, and then the day of, they were like, okay, we can't do it. Or one of them couldn't do it. You need two to do it. And today, one of them stiffed us, and the other one joined us 10 minutes late. Both are very busy. Both are big names in the world of television criticking. And I would have been very lucky to have them. Straight ahead, we're going to do John Right or Wrong. He's a pollster with all sorts of cool numbers. What's in Jim Richards' shoe is also on the way. Straight ahead, why should you be upset about certain things that you take for granted with our medical system, perhaps going private? That's next on the iHeart Talk Radio Network.
Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
I'm Colton Prail in the CTV Newsroom. Ottawa police say 3 people are in custody after a fatal shooting in the Byward Market this morning. U.S. President Joe Biden is pledging that the U.S. and its allies will have Ukraine's back as the war with Russia enters its 2nd year. And asylum seekers crossing into Quebec from the United States continue to arrive in Cornwall. The city now says it needs federal help to handle the situation. Full details coming up in 30 minutes. Ryan Knowles is in the CTV Weather Center.
Partly cloudy and minus 11 overnight, feeling more like minus 18 with the wind chill, though. A mix of sun and clouds in the forecast tomorrow, a daytime high of minus 6 and a low of minus 11 in the evening. And Thursday, cloudy, feeling like minus 16 with between 5 and 10 centimeters of snow expected. From the CTV Weather Center, I'm Ryan Knowles.
That's the latest from the CTV Newsroom. I'm Colton Prail.
Live local breaking news.
When you want it.
Anytime.
Anywhere. Download the CTV News app now.
Happy Chinese New Year! Everyone is family of Mandarin as we gather to celebrate life's special moments. Enjoy special dumplings added to our award-winning buffet, like hargao and silmai, so everyone can feast together with their favorite people. And dine-in desserts like our delicious egg custard tarts will sweeten your celebration. Enjoy Chinese New Year with dine-in, takeout, and delivery.
A celebration of taste, Mandarin.
On until February 28th while supplies last.
The 4-day work week put to the test. This is Omar Sachedina. Tonight on CTV National News, the results are in from the largest trial in the world. Full details tonight at 11 and at ctvnews.ca.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you, with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country, with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They could help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-288-4991. That's 1-800-288-4991. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-288-4991. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-288-4991. Ontario license number 4705786.
On April the 1st, Ottawa plans to raise the tax on beer by another 6%. What do Canadians think?
We don't like it, eh? Good day. I'm Bob McKenzie. This is my brother Doug. How's it going, eh? Okay, everything else in Canada is frozen, eh? Freeze the beer tax, too. Come on, MPs. You's elected to serve, so serve the beer. And hold the tax, eh?
A message from Beer Canada. Stop the hike. Visit hereforbeer.ca.
We approve this message, eh? Well, I don't approve of you. Take off.
Are you struggling with glasses and contact lenses? Squinting to see the alarm clock and read street signs? Having trouble working or just working out at the gym with lenses getting in the way? Laser vision correction might help.
For 30 years, the surgeons and staff at Focus Eye have been helping people enjoy the freedom of a life without lenses getting in the way.
Call Focus Eye about a no-charge, no-obligation consultation. 613-724-3937. That's 613-724-EYES.
Laser vision correction has helped millions of Canadians enjoy crisp, clear vision.
Whether it's playing sports or reading, hiking, or just watching TV, Laser vision correction can help bring your world into focus.
Call Focus Eye for a no-charge, no-obligation consultation and ask about their 12-month, no-interest financing.
613-724-3937. That's 613-724-EYES.
The Party Down reunion.
It's time to celebrate. Star's critically acclaimed comedy Party Down returns for a new season.
Are we having fun yet?
The gang is back. They're all dressed up and still going nowhere.
This is not how I envisioned my 40s.
This is no joke. This is catering.
Party Down, season premiere Friday, February 24th on Stars. Subscribe now at stars.ca. Also available on Crave.
I need to sell my car fast.
Sell my car in 30minutes.com.
What?
If you need to sell your car quickly, go to sellmycarin30minutes.com. You can sell it in 30 minutes.
Visit sellmycarin30minutes.com now.
And News Talk Tonight continues with Jim Richards.
Text message from somebody named Larry. They're wondering, Jim, did you shave your beard? You seem to be talking faster, and maybe your beard was weighing your chin down. No, Larry, interesting. But no, I have not shaved my beard. Never thought of it like that. Hold on. Coming up in the next hour, segment called What's in Jim's Shoe? In case you're just joining us, I had noticed I had a shoe, something in my shoe earlier, and I was considering taking my shoe off like a normal person and shaking whatever is in my shoe out of my shoe. But I decided that we would unveil what is in my shoe live on the air when Andrew, who's the technical director, gets to come in here, take my shoe off, turn it upside down, and shake it out. I was going to ask Christina to do it, but it just sounds too weird if I ask a female to do it. So earlier today, getting back to important things, Sylvia Jones, who is the health minister in the province of Ontario, outlined how they'll be expanding into the private sector, but still you pay with your OHIP card. That's the health card name in Ontario. Here's an outline of what was described as what they're planning on doing.
We know that early detection and diagnostic of a health issue has an immense and immediate benefit to a person's quality of life, prognosis, and treatment plan.
So they'll be doing several different things and expanding this plan as she continues to talk about it.
Ontario Health will ensure these centers are embedded in regional health system planning, including reporting into one centralized waitlist, which makes for a seamless experience for the patient. And community surgical and diagnostic centers will coordinate with local public hospitals to accept patients that are being referred, ensuring people get the surgery they need as quickly as possible without jumping the line.
In other provinces where best practices should be, did I not have my microphone on? All of these things sound great, but in other provinces where they've done this, doesn't turn out that they sped anything up. And that seems to be the goal.
These changes will be consistent with the Canada Health Act. And again, we need to be clear. Ontarians will continue to pay with their OHIP card, never their credit card. Under Premier Ford, that will never change.
Okay, we are joined right now by Michael Hurley. Michael Hurley is the Ontario Council of Hospital Unions, which is with CUPE. Michael, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
So could you talk about what your problems are specifically with what was laid out today in the province of Ontario by the health minister?
Absolutely. The medical journal, The Lancet, just published an Oxford University study which identified about 550 additional deaths which occurred in private surgical centers over a 6-year period, which is further evidence of the problem of the higher death rates. Costs are higher. In Ottawa, the first contract that we're aware of has been awarded to Herzing Institute for 5,000 cataracts. Herzing will be paid 30% more, or $650 per cataract, whereas the Ottawa Hospital will be paid $450 per cataract to do exactly the same procedure.
So costs are significantly more. Patients are at risk of upselling. This is where, the owners of these private clinics make a fair bit of money, is by selling services which are over and above what would normally be expected. And of course, we're quite concerned about the bleeding off of healthcare staff. We already have a healthcare staffing crisis in Ontario, and it's
Why wouldn't you go? Why wouldn't you go to the private sector? I mean, clearly that's part of your talking point. I understand that, and people are going to listen, going, "Well, he's biased. He can't really answer that." But folks, why wouldn't you? Probably less stress after 3 years of the pandemic. Probably, I'm guessing, more money. So, tell me why you wouldn't go to the private sector, Michael.
Well, everybody won't be going to the private sector, for one thing. They're not interested in people who are diabetic and have cataracts, for example.
I'm talking about employees. I thought that's what you were talking about. I'm talking about the nurses.
Okay. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I mean, in the hospitals, they're slated for another cutback in this fiscal year. They're, looking at an increase which is well below the rate of inflation. There's new federal money, and that money should be used to increase staffing levels, because it's the low staffing levels and the incredible workloads which are driving an exodus of healthcare workers. And they will be looking, of course, to things like private clinics and other alternative forms of employment. That doesn't help anybody in terms of who's on a waiting list. So
one thing I would wonder is, this is not, I mean, Ontario's acting like this is the first time this has happened to Canada. It's the end of the world. I'm guessing everybody listening outside of Ontario is going, what are you guys going on about? I didn't hear anybody covering this nationally when we did it. So what would you say to people listening, saying, okay, other provinces have done it and there hasn't been a lot of national stories about it, so why are we making a big deal about it?
Well, the opposition in Ontario to private sector delivery of hospital, surgical, and diagnostic services is actually considerably higher than it is in the rest of the country. It's like 68% of people in Ontario are concerned about it. In other provinces that may not be the case. The extent of privatization varies from province to province, and some provinces like Quebec, are further ahead on that road. But, I think we have a long and rich history in Ontario of defending, in particular, our hospitals. There was a closure of significant numbers of them during the 1990s, and communities rallied, and there were attempts to privatize ambulance services and cancer care services in the 1990s. Communities rallied and stopped those efforts. So, I think there's a different tradition in Ontario, and there's a different perspective on this. And so I think you're going to see a different rollout in terms of
do you know about best practices in other provinces? I've interviewed somebody who's in Saskatchewan, and they said, they've done all of these similar things, but in terms of cataracts and the other things that they had evolved, again, using private contractors, but still being paid by your provincial health card. They said in Saskatchewan that, with the goal to speed things up, so I'm not waiting for a cataract operation for however long that takes, that it'll be done quick.
It's the evidence from Australia, and I think it's the evidence from Britain and many other countries. And, if you look at the Ottawa Hospital as an example, the province is, willing to pay more to a private delivery organization to do the cataracts. The Ottawa Hospital's cataract operating rooms are not running after like 4 or 5 o'clock, and they're not running on the weekends.
Yeah.
So they could be. To do that, we'd have to staff up, so offer staff a premium to work those hours or something. But if you're paying a premium of 30% for each cataract, you could probably afford, it would be much less than that to in the public hospital. And of course, the problem with with the private sector delivery of cataracts is it's about taking the simplest cataract procedures and churning them out in a factory-like setting. So they're not interested in people who unfortunately have a complex medical condition.
You know, also, if you get upsailed, you will be able to jump the queue because that will be something that they can do quicker for you rather than everybody who just wants the basic one. And I'm also guessing like the provinces right now are like, hey, money, but yet they're willing to spend more money to do this. I don't know how you make the argument that we have to go to the feds for more money, where I do think the feds should be giving us more money. But if we're going to be spending more on these sort of things, I don't know how the math works out on that. Michael, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You have a good evening.
Michael Hurley is with the Ontario Council of Hospital Unions. I'm Jim Richards, and John, right or wrong, is next.
Searching online for questions about your health isn't always healthy. You'll type in a question right before bed like, why do I keep getting hives? And through an internet rabbit hole. One sleepless night later, you've thrown out all your lotions, body washes, soaps, and detergents because you're definitely allergic to everything. Or you could just talk to a registered nurse. Stop going down internet rabbit holes and start connecting to care. Visit ontario.ca/yourhealth to find pharmacists, nurses, and answers, and see all the ways we're helping you connect to care. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
That was some party thanks to my buddy's beer and joint. Here's the keys, joint.
Yo, I'm not driving. I'm way too stoned. How are you feeling, beer?
Toke, I'm not driving tonight at all.
What about you, Dave?
You only had a couple of drinks.
And only a couple of puffs. I don't drink and drive. No way I'm getting behind the wheel when I smoked weed, too. How are we getting home, then?
Come on, Dave. Take one for the team.
Don't let weed and alcohol influence your decision to drive.
Yeah, I need a ride.
A message from Ad Canada.
Are you suffering from erectile dysfunction?
Let's go, D.
Ottawa's Focus Wave Clinic knows how critical it is to get your most valuable player off the bench and back into the starting lineup. End the drought. Learn more about erectile dysfunction, Peyronie's disease, and chronic pelvic pain syndrome at FocusWaveClinic.com. Get a free consultation and save $200 off any treatment. Call 613-422-WAVE. FocusWaveClinic.com.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They can help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-656-7129. That's 1-800-656-7129. The credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-656-7129. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-656-7129. Ontario license number 4705786.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ziprecruiter.ca/Canada.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you. Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They could help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-318-1940. That's 1-800-318-1940. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to it. Call 1-800-318-1940. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-318-1940. Ontario license number 4705786.
Hi, it's Jan Arden here. Have you listened to the new episode of the Jan Arden podcast yet? It's me and my producers weighing in on popular topics for the week with unpopular opinions. We have some laughs, and we have some really special guests. This season, we've already talked to Tessa Virtue, the First Lady of Iceland, and Brian Adams even stopped by. Search the Jan Arden podcast wherever you get your podcasts and follow Jan Arden Pod so we can tell you who and what's coming up.
It's News Talk Tonight on the iHeartRadio Talk Network. Here's your host, Jim Richards.
I've hurt a lot of our coworkers this week. People like Andrew. Andrew doesn't get to pick the music anymore. I'm picking the music. I pulled one of those, do you know who I am, Andrew? I'm picking the music. And I think Andrew's upset that he doesn't get to play Kansas Carry On My Wayward Son again, that we'll never hear. But sorry about that, Andrew. Segment, Jim finds out what's in his shoe earlier today. Tragic a time for me, walking a little oddly. Something was in my shoe. A normal person would have taken off my shoe and shaken the thing out, but I thought we would do a big reveal at the end of the show. What is in my shoe? We'll go to the phones on that as well. John, right or wrong, is a segment that we like to do each and every Tuesday. He's very generous with his time. He's a very busy guy. I mean, and he gives it to us each and every night. We're happy that John Wright, who is with Opinion. John, thank you very much for your time.
Great to be with you, Jim.
I have grown to love the quirky, different stats that you pick for us about Canadians. And what do you have for us today?
All taken from Maru public opinion polls. Some of them recent, some of them over the last couple of months. So we'll begin, first of all, when you look out into your neighborhood. Let's give you this one, right or wrong. 55% of Canadians believe that roads are less safe for pedestrians than 5 years ago. That's 55% less safe for pedestrians than 5 years ago.
I will say that is bang on.
Actually, it's only 36%.
It's only 36%.
36% less safe for pedestrians than 5 years ago. The top two would be Quebec at 24, Atlantic Canada at 25. Pretty much 15%. Alberta at the bottom at 11%. So that's the first one.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you want to try something a little bit differently.
I want to follow up on that, because what I think is really interesting about every stat that you give us whenever you come on, John, is that each and every one of them is a conversation starter, right? So I just wonder, in polling, how much of a recency bias is there? Meaning, if I live in Ottawa and there are a couple of tragic stories with people driving on sidewalks, elderly or some kid learning how to drive, how much does in polling you're like, okay, here's the number, but you guys should know that these terrible things have been happening and the number might be skewed?
Well, you know what? That's a good point, because usually what you do then is you have that number, you have the poll done over a number of nights so that it's not spiked by any one night. Secondly, this one is asked over the last 5 years. So it's not something specific to any particular point, but you're absolutely right. You can have a spike on any time over a few nights.
Okay. So what was the next number you're going to give us?
Well, I was going to ask you whether or not 25% of Canadians believe they will reach their goals and ambitions this year. Just 25%.
I'm going to say since I'm hoping to tank later this year, I'm going to say the number is, no, you know what? I do think that that's a pretty low number. And given the economy, and again, what we just talked about with maybe a recency bias, people are hearing bad things about the economy, percent is bang on.
It's actually just about half, 52% of Canadians believe that they will reach their goal. So actually, you know what? 48% is a lot of people. You take 32 million adults.
Yep.
And you take 48% of that group, you're talking about 16 million people across this country. That's a lot of,
that is.
Or 14 or 15 million people. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people being very optimistic.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. What's the next number?
I'm going to ask you about how many people have a legal will. So 53% of Canadians do not have a legal will. 53% of Canadians do not have a legal will.
I will say that is wrong because I believe it's much lower.
So those are people who do not have one. It's 53%. Not to have one is in Alberta, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, 61%.
Don't have
one. Don't have one. Atlantic Canada, 58. British Columbia, 53. Ontario, 51. Quebec, 48. So a good proportion of almost every province, they don't have a legal will.
Interesting. And I don't. So maybe I need to get to that right after this show. What are the next numbers?
Well, let's try this one. Just out of field this past week, 37% of Canadians will not earn a livable wage over the next 60 days. 37% will not earn a livable wage over the next 60 days.
37 seems high, but that livable wage maybe 10 years ago was a good salary, but with inflation and rent in cities like Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, I'm going to say that's sadly accurate.
It is sadly accurate. 41% in British Columbia, 41% in Ontario, 35% in Quebec, 46% in Atlantic Canada. A lot of people. And when you take a look at people who are in the lower income range and the younger range, much higher percentage who
so how is that defined, John? Does it mean that, hey, maybe I can pay my rent, maybe I can just afford groceries, but I'm sacrificing this or that for my kid?
All of those things, just a livable. With inflation, you're absolutely right, but it's also characterized by almost as many people who are struggling to make ends meet. Another question which is almost identical to that.
Wow. And do you have one more number for us?
I had a couple if you want. 65% would prefer to shop in a bricks and mortar store as opposed to shopping online.
I do not. Well, I'm guessing that kind of breaks because you always break things down after the initial number, but I'm guessing younger people might feel differently than older people, but I'll say that is incorrect.
It's actually correct.
It is, eh? Wow.
They prefer bricks and mortars. And I've got one other one if you want to try it.
Well, my dad's 80 and he's like getting his new flat screen TV from Amazon and gets everything from Amazon, but I guess there are always outliers. Yes, hit us up with that last
one. Groceries. Right or wrong?
Yes.
43% prefer large grocery store shopping to a local food or produce store. 43%
I'm going to say right.
Prefer.
I'm going to say right.
Jim, 65% preferred.
Just because, you like, I don't mind my stretch of street in Toronto that's got the or is the produce, because you could do that if you want, but sometimes it's hard to do in your neighborhood, but you can you can knock it all out of the park at one place. John, as always, a whole bunch of great conversation starters, and people, if they want to listen to this tomorrow, can always check out the podcast of News Talk Tonight. John, right or wrong, from Public Opinion Pollsters Maru. Thank you very much, John. Have yourself a great night.
You too, Jim. Take care.
That is John Wright. Straight ahead. closer to David Cooper ruining the show, as he does whenever he comes on. That in about 20 minutes' time. And it will include what is in Jim's shoe, which is now trending, I think, on Twitter.
The biggest names in talk radio, right here on News Talk 580 CFRA. Bill Carroll.
The challenge is not getting ahead, it's keeping up.
Patricia Ball. That is where we're at. This.
Vashi Capellos.
How were you able to convince them to get the deal done?
Christy Cameron. It is an emotionally charged issue.
News Talk 580 CFRA. Ottawa's #1 news talk station.
Always streaming on the iHeartRadio app or your smart speaker.
We are Ottawa's home for live, local breaking news.
This newscast is brought to you in part by Rito Auctions. RitoAuctions.com.
Here's what's coming up this month at Rito Auctions.
Starting on the 6th, it's the Furniture and Miscellaneous Items Auction, featuring items for every room in your home and outdoor living areas. Plus housewares, games, children's toys, and so much more. Or for low prices on everyday products, check out Rito Auctions Liquidation Center. Open 9 to 5, Monday to Saturday.
Rito Auctions in Winchester. Visit RitoAuctions.com today to view all the items and to register to bid.
This is News Talk 580 CFRA AM Ottawa, a division of Bell Media and an iHeart radio station.
8 o'clock. Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
Good evening, I'm Colton Frail, -12, cloudy skies. More details about the weather warning in effect and the snowfall we could see later this week in your full forecast coming up in just a moment. First, let's have a look at your top stories. Ottawa police say 3 people have been arrested following a fatal shooting in the Byward Market early this morning. CTV's Leah LaRocque reports.
Police say the shooting happened on York Street just after 1 o'clock in the morning. The man later died from his injuries. That led to a search for suspects and a police spanning the area of Cumberland and Clarence Streets. That's where police say they found 3 people inside a building.
What I can tell you is that our investigative techniques led us to the 300 block of Cumberland. That is where we located and arrested the 3 individuals that are now in custody.
But the investigation continues.
I can't say right now if this was targeted or not, but I can say confidently that there is no risk out there to public safety at this time.
This is the city's 4th homicide of the year. Leah LaRocque, CTV News.
U.S. Biden marked the grim 1-year anniversary of Russia's war in Ukraine with an historic speech in neighboring Poland today. It comes as Russian President Vladimir Putin doubled down on the war and blamed the West. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has more.
Biden urging the Western alliance to stay strong, telling thousands in a fiery speech, Western solidarity will outlast Russian aggression.
Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided.
Biden's speech comes hours after a radically different take from Russian President Vladimir Putin. In his address to the nation, Putin portrayed Russia the victim of Western aggression.
They started the war, and we used the force in order to stop it.
Putin threatened to suspend the START treaty, the last remaining nuclear arms agreement with the U.S. that expires 3 years from now.
Putin also vowing that if the U.S. was to resume nuclear tests, so would Russia, ending a decades-long global. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
The city of Cornwall says they need more help from the federal government as asylum seekers continue to arrive in the area. CTV's Nate Vandermeer explains.
Around 800 people are being housed in 2 different locations, including a former hotel, after crossing the border from the U.S. into Quebec. Cornwall Mayor Justin Towndale says they do not have the resources to handle the situation, and it's costing the city money, hearing next to nothing from the federal government. Here's Justin Towndale.
If we had a two-way street for communication, we can ensure that in place, that everyone's getting the help they need, because at the end of the day, if the resources aren't there, and we can't help, it'll be the asylum claimers that are stuck in a limbo where they have nothing and they have nowhere to go.
Nate Vandermeer, CTV News, Cornwall.
A parliamentary committee is expanding its study on foreign election interference to determine whether the 2021 federal election was influenced by outside actors. MPs have already questioned witnesses from the RCMP, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, and Elections Canada. A report last week from the Globe and Mail said China worked in the last federal election to defend politicians considered unfriendly to Beijing. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the last election was decided by Canadian voters. In-depth coverage, audio, video, and more at CFRA.com and CTVNewsOttawa.ca. Ryan Knowles is in the CTV Weather Center.
Partly cloudy and minus 11 overnight, feeling more like minus 18 with the wind chill, though. A mix of sun and clouds in the forecast tomorrow, a daytime high of minus 6 and a low of minus 11 in the evening. Cloudy, feeling like minus 16 with between 5 and 10 centimeters of snow expected. From the CTV Weather Center, I'm Ryan Knowles.
That's the latest from the CTV Newsroom. I'm Colton Trail. News next at 11 o'clock.
Live local breaking news.
When you want it.
Anytime.
Anywhere. Download the CTV News app now.
The coldest night of the year, presented by District Realty Ottawa and Support, is back in person. The coldest night of the year is a family-friendly walk to raise money for local charities serving people in our community who are experiencing hunger and homelessness. Join us this year in person on Saturday, February 25th for a great night filled with teams walking and fundraising for those struggling in our community. Let's gather for good. To register and start fundraising, visit cnoy.org. Proudly sponsored by CTV Ottawa and Move 100.
Soon-to-be award-winning segment. David Cooper ruins the show. What is the worst blooper in the history of Wheel of Fortune? And did Taylor Swift rip off Phil Collins in the air tonight? That's what some people are saying. I'm Jim Richards.
News Talk Tonight is on with your host, Jim Richards, on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Well said. News Talk 1010. We will unveil a lot of people angry. The same way I get angry some days when I'm trying to watch an NFL game. Not, I haven't done that recently because I'm busy in here entertaining the country from coast to coast to coast. But when I are you laughing at that, Andrew? You don't think I'm entertaining the country? Huh?
I never said that.
Go to the corner. Hold on. Christina, do you know? What?
It might be a recipe for disaster. I think we need him.
Okay, don't go to the corner. Do not go to the corner. We've already had the recipe for disaster. We know what that is. That was the 9 o'clock hour when, again, what I was taught early in radio. When you zig, sometimes you got to zag, if you're a zigger. But sometimes you got to zag. But you can't zig then zag after zigging zagging. You can quote me on that. Anyway, where was I? I forgot about me. Oh, yeah, I was entertaining you guys. And then Andrew laughed at me entertaining people. I forgot it was. See, you did, Andrew? I forgot what I was going to say. It's going to be good, though. Let me talk a little bit about something that people are talking about, if I can. That's what we do. We talk about what people are talking about. And it's 3 days after. But, we like news cycle, not what was in the news cycle 3 days ago. But I didn't get an opportunity really to talk about
our home on a native land.
But what I did get to do is I saw it live because I do like basketball. I do like basketball, but I still watched the All-Star game. I think in every sport, if you say I like football and I watch the Pro Bowl weekend, you don't like football. Like in every single sport, there's not, even in baseball too, Andrew, like their home run derby. After that, the game is, I guess, like in most sports, there's defense. In baseball, defense means you have to catch. So, okay, maybe it is a good game. But in basketball, it's like there's no defense. There's no defense in hockey. They don't even tackle in the Pro Bowl anymore in the NFL. But I digest One of the things that I'm concerned about is that people are upset about the anthem. Well, then why aren't you guys marching in the streets about we need to play the anthem more? Because you only see the anthem if you go to a game. Most of the time, a Blue Jay baseball game is on. Why are you upset about the fact that the Blue Jays don't air the national anthems? They don't. It's an extra opportunity to play commercials and come back and pretend that there was no anthem. Same thing, I do believe, in hockey games during the weeks. Early on Hockey Night in Canada, they play the anthems. The NFL, the 1 o'clock game. Why isn't anybody losing their mind about Colin Kaepernick kneeling during the 1 o'clock game? Because they don't show the anthem. Because they don't show the anthem in the 4 o'clock game. They do in the 8 o'clock game and in the Super Bowl. But everybody's upset about the national anthem that they care so much about. I remember the only time the national anthem has really upset me is when I was at a hockey game and an older lady had the hat knocked off of her by some a-hole, and it turned out she had chemotherapy, but she didn't have a hell of a lot of hair. And some guy decided to impose in a free country what his version of freedom should be. Now, in defending Julie Black, I don't think, and everybody would be like, so everybody gets to freelance what the national anthem would be? I'd say no to that, but I would say in a country that's still trying to figure itself out after thousands found in unmarked graves. And if you've never talked to somebody who is a survivor of residential schools, then do yourself a disfavor. I say a disfavor because it's not fun to hear about abuse and kids being raped. But if you don't want to change, that's what happened in residential schools. And I to the life of me, I can't. I was trying to have a conversation with somebody who's trying to make the point that, okay, but land, you're offended by that? How? I thought you're the crew, you're the crowd that yells woke. And I said this to somebody and it was unfair. I say, you guys yell woke at everything that doesn't have a red baseball cap. And that was an unfair statement to say. But you do yell woke at a hell of a lot of things that are just compassion and trying to, care about other people. And if you can't cross that bridge to care about this conversation that this country is trying to have, try to figure this out. 7 generations stolen from their parents. 7 generations of parents trying to parent when they were in a residential school, shown no love. 7 generations of those kids not being told that they were loved and then trying to raise their own kids, which are only going to be taken away from them. And, some of those kids are in unmarked graves. And you're going to come back at me with, yeah, but what? Well, our history has constantly changed. So have the lyrics to that song. And yes, maybe you shouldn't have one person change it. But how did any dumb law get changed? And it's not a law. I'll grant you that it's not a law. But how did anything get changed? It's usually because somebody had the kahunas enough to put their career on the line, their name on the line, or go to jail because they wouldn't get off a bus that a bunch of bigots wouldn't allow them to sit in a certain place. Has stood up to things that they didn't see were right. At the end of the day, this is a song. And if it can't move you to care about thousands of unmarked graves and generation after generation of kids not being loved because their parents had to see them being stolen away, then I'm not sure if that's more important. If a word in our national anthem is more important than that stuff, you win the argument. Because I don't know what would compel you to move off of your argument. And so, well, does everybody get to change the lyrics? Well, not everybody. Well, I would say no. I would have a different reaction. Like the 3 tenors who changed it to All Lives Matter. That 3 tenor guy who threw in All Lives Matter into the middle of it. Which was stupid and bigoted. But again, text messages, well, you sound like you want to tear down statues. No, I don't want those statues torn down. I want them to be accurate. I would change the plaque to make it stark and accurate. And this stuff right now in America, like critical race theory, which basically teaches the history of America and acknowledges 400 years of slavery, and all of these sucks. All of these sucks. These babies who yell woke at people who have compassion for other people. They say, oh, you want to teach white kids to hate themselves. If that's where you get to on teaching 400 years of slavery, that's where you get to, then I don't have words for you. I guess go and join Theron Fleury and Jamie Saleh as they try to argue that everybody on the left, when they don't like something, calls you Nazis. And so what did they do this weekend? Hung out with a Nazi. But I get the argument of all of that stuff, because my friend, after I had this conversation with him, the lyric that Julie Black changed it to came back at me with this, and I can't argue it. Yeah, but still. You got me, checkmate. Yeah, but still.
The coldest night of the year, presented by District Realty Ottawa in support of the Ottawa Mission, is back in person. The coldest night of the year is a family-friendly walk to raise money for local charities serving who are experiencing hunger and homelessness. Join us this year in person on Saturday, February 25th for a great night filled with teams walking and fundraising for those struggling in our community. Let's gather for good. To register and start fundraising, visit cnoy.org. Proudly sponsored by CTV Ottawa and Move 100.
You have anxiety about working in the office, anxiety about COVID, and were diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, but your disability claim was denied. My name is Aaron Waxman, and if your disability claim is denied for any reason, call me at 1-844-5878 or pound LTD. And don't worry about upfront legal fees, because there are none. At my law firm, my lawyers only get paid when you get paid. And before you call, you should always remember that there are no bad questions. 1-844-583-4878 or on your cell phone at pound LTD.
When we look into your eyes, we want to give you the whole world. But that's not a viable business model. So instead, we're offering you complete glasses from only $69. At Specsavers, we believe quality eyewear and eye care should be affordable to all, which is a little thing we call Specsavers Love. Find out more at specsavers.ca. Conditions apply. Select pairs only.
So you're thinking of selling your house, you're doing your research, now what? Hi, it's Christy Cameron. Do what I did when I needed local real estate advice. I went to MasoodBadre.com. Masood Badre's property shop. He's my realtor, and he makes selling your house so easy. He's got upfront, no hassle written guarantees because Masood already has the buyers. That means you're in good hands. You're in control. You get a faster sale and more money. Go check it out yourself. MasoodBadre.com. Again, online, that's MasoodBadre.com.
On April the 1st, Ottawa plans to raise the tax on beer by another 6%. What do Canadians think?
Whoever came up with this idea gets no back bacon, eh?
Good day, I'm Bob Doug.
How's it going, eh?
Why don't you tax some other stuff, eh?
Like yams, confetti, or liver, eh? I hate liver.
Leave beer alone, eh?
A message from Beer Canada. Stop the hike. Visit hereforbeer.ca.
Take a hike, Ottawa.
We drink responsibly.
So tax responsibly.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time. Ask for help when it comes to your personal finances, but you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit counseling organizations in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They can help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-288-4991. That's 1-800-288-4991. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-288-4991. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-288-4991. Ontario license number 4705786.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Now for free information on how to get started today. InventHelp provides invention services that help everyday inventors get started with their idea. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. Our services include professional materials needed to showcase your invention and 3D animation and prototype modeling that help you demonstrate your idea. Get down to the idea with a technical drawing. The InventHelp Databank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Take advantage of the opportunity to get started today.
Call 1-800-353-6081. That's 1-800-353-6081. Again, 1-800-353-6081.
Crave presents the new action thriller, The Woman, inspired by powerful true events.
I offer you a choice. Fight or we die.
Academy Award winner Viola Davis. Witness the most exceptional female warriors to ever live.
Some things are worth fighting for.
A woman becomes a warrior. A warrior becomes a king. The Woman King. Stream now only on Crave. Subscribe now at crave.ca.
This is News Talk Tonight with Jim Richards on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Well, thank you very much for your time and for joining us. David Cooper joins us right now from New York City. David, how are you?
Good. Got a little bone to pick with you, Jim.
Okay. Bone picking after I ask you a different question?
Yeah,
no, bone pick away. What's the bone pick?
Well, at the break, I heard you in your ear saying to your producer, Christina and Andrew, hey, can you fact check something for me on the Super Bowl? They got back to you. They said, we don't know what you're talking about, and David doesn't either, to which you unsarcastically said, well, no one was expecting David to know that.
Well, who can argue that?
I guess not me. No bone. All right, Jim, what did you want to do?
Or as it responds after you make 5 great points, yeah, but still.
I did hear your rant before the break. It was on point. I liked it.
Well, what are your... do you want to hear it again? I know in Canada we've heard the hell out of it. You're in New York City. You're an impartial observer. Do you have any thoughts on freelancing that line in the national anthem?
I mean, I would say I don't care, but the reason I don't care is because I love it. Deal to me. I don't know what the fuss is about. It's like it's exactly right. So I'm into it. I'm pro change.
The problem with it's funny you say that, and that just nobody has time for understanding you can be a proud Canadian too, but what, you want to give the country back to Indigenous people? No, it's just hey, but what about our history? What about our history? I mean, it's funny, how long are you allowed to go back in what about our history?
500 years.
Well, then it's our history. I thought you were only going to say.
I liked the lyric swap out. I wouldn't be offended if the whole anthem got changed that way. I'm just saying, it's not a big deal. I don't know why everyone's talking about it so much.
Well, I mean, if everybody was clamoring, like I said earlier, and parading outside of the Sky Dome and parading outside of all of the networks that don't show the anthem because they can get an extra 5 minutes of commercials in, then I would believe that people are passionate about the anthem, but they don't, because in order to hear it, you got to go to a sporting event, and the sporting events don't even bother playing it another time. But
it's a distraction, Jim. Housing prices are up, inflation rampant, grocery prices. It's such a distraction.
Unbelievable. So I've got a whole bunch of things for us tonight, including you as a well-documented musician, correct? How many instruments do you play?
3 badly.
Guitar,
piano, and then pedal steel guitar, Jim.
Pedal steel guitar. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I've seen people can scroll back on David Cooper's Instagram if they would love to. So somebody has decided that the Taylor Swift song, and I'm sure this is on your radar, the Taylor Swift song Lavender is stolen from Phil Collins in the Air Tonight.
All of this is new to me.
Compared to this. Can't have a drum breakdown. Here they are back to back.
It's the same drum hit.
It's still a little different, isn't it? Andrew is protesting right now. Can we hear Andrew? What did you want to say, Andrew?
I feel like the only difference is that they used a digital drum set for hers.
Okay, let's listen to it again. You think it's the same? David, you think it's the same too?
I think it's the same, but was it the same on purpose? Conversation should go, but let's hear it again.
Hold on. Like, when people make accusations about songs being stolen, it could be as much as a drum riff?
I think so. I mean, I don't know what the legal test is, but I know it's a very short snippet, like 3, 4, 5 notes, maybe 6.
Okay. Maybe. Okay.
Those last 2 notes on the end that Phil's playing, more syncopated, a little bit more offbeat, and they kind of diverge on the last 2 notes. So now I'm not so sure.
Okay. But so you don't have, as a musician, again, this guy plays steel guitar, and also, what was the other one?
Piano.
Which one are you the best at? Steel guitar?
Oh, it's the most recent one that I've picked up. So, but if you take my history with music, piano for sure.
Okay, you don't have a piano in your New York apartment?
No, I don't live in a mansion, Jim. No one's got room for
Do you pull out your steel guitar and play it ever?
It's in storage, but yes. But can we get back to this Phil Collins thing? Because I have a lot of thoughts here, Jim.
Okay, can I play a different version where they mix them both together?
All of this is new to me.
Yes.
So basically, they put the Phil Collins drum riff in there. What are your thoughts on that?
I think this stuff can happen by accident, so it's really hard to know. Like, I imagine it wasn't Taylor Swift writing the drum track. It was some studio musician who probably loved Phil Collins is awesome. When my brother was a kid, he said he wanted to be in a Phil Collins cover band when he grew up with Phil Collins in it. One of my favorite musicians. But yeah, this stuff can happen by accident. And it's happened in the weirdest places by accident. So I really don't know what to think, Jim.
Well, I'm glad we stayed on that topic, and then you finished with, I don't know what to think.
Well, let me tell you about a weird time that it happened. There was like that band Coldplay. Mm-hmm. They had a song off an album they cut maybe 15 years ago called Talk. And just before they went to release it, someone's listening to it, like, who knew Chris Martin, and like, you can't release this. That's Kraftwerk. And Chris is like, no, it isn't. They A-B'd the song, and it was Kraftwerk. It was like the exact riff from Computer Love or Computer Liebe. And they had to give Kraftwerk like writer's credits on the song, and he claims to have done it by accident. It's such a weird, like, combination of like weird 80s electronic and then whatever Coldplay is that I kind of believe them. Okay. So this stuff happens by accident. So
what does A-B the song mean when you said they A-B'd the song?
The little industry lingo. Listen to the first song, A, and then listen to the second song, B, and then back and forth. That's what we just did to Taylor Swift and Phil Collins.
I didn't even know it. Yeah. I wanted to judge me. We might have to pick this up after the break, but I wanted you to help me judge the best blooper or the best wrong guess in the history of... was one.
Oh my God!
What
I love this concept, Jim. I'm so excited.
There was one yesterday that they were making a big deal out of. This woman guessed G instead of what it should have been.
Yes, there is an H. Solve it or spin it or but do something quickly. You won't get
I'll
buzzed out.
spin it.
Okay. Okay, what letter for you?
I'll go with a G.
Juliana, it's your turn.
I'd like to solve the puzzle.
Yeah.
Fresh tropical fruit.
So the S in fresh was out, and she guessed G for fresh tropical fruit. That's the best blooper ever. Are you putting money on being the best blooper ever, or would you say keep on going? Would you say freeze or keep on going?
Oh, well, what word would it have been? Like Fredja?
Yeah.
Fredja fruit. It's pretty dumb, but there might be dumber out there.
There might be.
And Brittany and Rhonda.
Professional gynecologist.
I knew that was coming. Nope. Everybody else. So Olivia and Otto.
Professional genealogist.
There you go.
That wasn't dumb. That was amazing. That was like the person's. I would do that. I would throw the game on purpose just to do that and be a legend.
Would you want to freeze there on that being the worst, or would you say keep going?
Keep going because that was the best.
Okay. Is this one better in terms of being bad?
I'd like to solve
Okay.
bridal and gold shower.
Sorry. Jen, it's your turn.
I'd like to solve
Okay.
bridal and cold shower.
Hey, if it's a good marriage, it's any kind of shower, my friend.
All right, we'll ask David if he'll freeze on that being the best, worst blooper in Wheel of Fortune history when we come back. And should dogs sticking their head out the window be illegal next?
Your update from the CTV Ottawa newsroom starts now.
I'm Colton Trail. Ottawa police say 3 people are in custody after a fatal shooting in the Byward Market this morning. U.S. President Joe Biden is pledging that the U.S. and its allies will have Ukraine's back as the war with Russia enters its 2nd year. And asylum seekers crossing into Quebec from the United States continue to arrive in Cornwall. The city now says it needs federal help to handle the situation. Full details coming up in 30. Ryan Knowles is in the CTV Weather Center.
Partly cloudy and -11 overnight, feeling more like -18 with the wind chill though. A mix of sun and clouds in the forecast tomorrow, a daytime high of -6 and a low of -11 in the evening. And Thursday, cloudy, feeling like -16 with between 5 and 10 centimeters of snow expected. From the CTV Weather Center, I'm Ryan Knowles.
That's the latest from the CTV Newsroom. I'm Colt.
Denied long-term disability? If the insurance company invites you to appeal, remember, the truth is that appeals can often trap you and run out the clock on your rights. There is a much more powerful option to get the compensation you deserve. Go to disabilityrights.ca and get disability lawyer Savanta Markin in your corner. Insurance companies don't want you to know, and how Savan can force them to pay what you are owed. disabilityrights.ca.
Ottawa Senators fans, Saint-Hubert has a great offer for you. If you eat, sleep, and breathe hockey, take part in our Saint Senators contest. You could win one of 9 gift packages, including 4 tickets to the April 10th Senators game, 4 official jerseys, and a Saint-Hubert gift card worth $200. Savor your favorite Saint-Hubert meal to enter our Saint Senators contest. At Saint-Hubert, we're hungry for hockey. No purchase necessary. Rules and conditions. Saint-Hubert.com. For a limited time at participating rotisseries only.
Please be advised, if you find winter driving distressing, the following is a real audio clip of a Subaru driving on an unplowed mountain pass in the Yukon in -23-degree conditions. Just listen to Subaru's standard symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive go to work on all that ice and snow. And that sound is our confident driver whistling Beethoven's Fifth. Visit your local Subaru dealer and really own winter with uncommon winter capability.
Are you struggling with glasses and contact lenses? Squinting to see the alarm clock and read street signs? Having trouble working or just working out at the gym with lenses getting in the way? Laser vision correction might help.
For 30 years, the surgeons and staff at Focus Eye have been helping people enjoy the freedom of a life without lenses getting in the way.
Call Focus Eye about a no-charge, no-obligation consultation. 613-724-3937. That's 613-724-EYES.
Laser vision correction has helped millions of Canadians enjoy crisp, clear vision.
Whether it's playing sports or reading, hiking, or just watching TV, laser vision correction can help bring your world into focus.
Call Focus Eye for a no-charge, no-obligation consultation and ask about their 12-month, no-interest financing.
613-724-3937. 724-EYES.
Lately, times have been challenging, with many people facing increased interest rates, inflation, and rising credit card debt. Everyone needs a little help from time to time, but it can be hard to ask for help when it comes to your personal finances. But you're not alone. Millions of Canadians share that feeling with you. 500,000 Canadians have found help with their debt, and so can you with Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. They are one of the largest non-profit credit in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. They could help you consolidate your bills into one affordable payment, minimize your interest rates, and get you out of debt fast. No matter how much you owe, you don't need to do this alone. To get help, call 1-800-656-7129. That's 1-800-656-7129. Let Consolidated Credit get you back to a debt-free life. Call 1-800-656-7129. Call toll-free today for a free consultation. 1-800-656-7129. Ontario license number 4705786.
Hear the athletes, feel the energy, and show your Canadian pride. Live at the BKT Tires and OK Tire World Men's Curling Championship. Cheer on Team Canada as we go head-to-head against the rest of the curling world for the coveted world title. Plus, when the rocks have been put away, keep the good times going at the original 16 patch. The ultimate curling party where fans can eat, drink, and celebrate the day's Experience it live, April 1st to 9th at TD Place in Ottawa. Get your tickets now at curling.ca/tickets.
This is the iHeartRadio Talk Network, and News Talk Tonight continues with Jim Richards.
We have Slow News Day coming up to wrap up the show. David Cooper is with us. When you last heard David Cooper, we're trying to discern what is worst blooper in the history of game show. Sorry. When last we left David, we heard this blooper.
I'd like to solve.
Okay.
Bridal and gold shower.
Sorry. Janet, your turn.
I'd like to solve.
He really sounded sorry in a different way, but David, would you like... Sorry, what?
What kind of shower she's taking, but go on. What's the next one?
Would you like to stand pat, or would you like to see if there's a worse blooper when it comes to Wheel of Fortune?
That one's bad, but my morbid curiosity says keep going.
Here's another one.
Well, go again. You have $1,600. It's up to you. He's going for it. 600.
Okay.
No. Lisa. Yeah, there you go. And what do we have?
A streetcar named Desire.
Yeah, that's it.
The other guess would have been Streetcar Naked Desire.
Or Streetcar with a K, I suppose. K-A-R.
No, they already had Streetcar, I guess. The K would have gone in the middle of Naked because she asked for an M, and that finished Naked. So would you like to freeze there or continue?
That's so good. But again, I got to see how far this hole can be dug.
Okay, let's find out when we, okay, this one.
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Okay. Boozing my shore excursion.
No. Josh, it's your turn.
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Yeah. Booking my shore excursion.
Yeah, that's it.
I like boozing my shore excursion.
It makes sense. You're on a booze. Maybe it stops by a beach, lets off everyone on the beach, they booze up, and they go back on the booze cruise. What do you think?
I do like that. Would you like to freeze there or continue?
All right, last one. I have a good feeling about this one.
Taylor into now.
Wood burning microwave.
some letters come up. Don't let them all come up, ladies, but, when you get enough.
Wood-burning fireplace.
Yeah, that's it.
Wood-burning microwave.
Wow. I got to get one of those. Sounds like it makes delicious food. You get all the aroma of the smoky food and all the convenience of a microwave, I suppose.
Would you like to stop there or keep going? I'm going to keep going anyway.
Yeah, we better go, yeah.
Here is one more.
It's a living thing. Larry and Melinda.
Popsicle bike.
No. Bill and Glenda.
Honeysuckle bush.
Yeah, that's it.
Popsicle bike.
If I had $3,000 in my pocket, I'd give it to you anyway.
Popsicle bike.
It's something your kid makes for you. Like they make a popsicle stick house. Why not make a full bicycle?
Exactly. I do have one more. Oh, it is. No, we've played that one. I think we might be out.
Oh,
which is unfortunate. Let me just check. I've got so many of them here.
I mean, the gold shower one has a special place in my heart, so I would say that one's the winner.
What about this one? Have we played this one?
I'd like to solve the puzzle. Okay. Boozing my shore.
I'm looking for one other one because there is one other one.
This is the time of the night we're going to play. Jim goes through all his audio files to make sure they're all played.
That is, we're moments away from that anyway. Moments away. It hasn't happened yet, but it could happen sometime in the next little while. Because I'm actually looking one up, which I really like. Sorry, I thought I had it at my disposal, but I can't find it. Okay. David, we also wondered, did you hear what Tony's doing this week?
That's what I've been told.
How many cats do you have?
I have one, and he's enough. And my girlfriend has a massive tattoo on her arm of the same cat, so I kind of have two.
Oh, okay. Does it make any sense that somebody would take a week off? Like, they could work, right? I mean, it's not like they didn't leave. Again, they took a week off. Tony took a week off to take care of a cat. And when I called them and tried to find out how things were going.
Hey, thank you for your call. You've reached Tony Tedesco, producer of News Talk Tonight with I can't come to the phone right now because I'm a little busy playing with a cat. I should be free in a week or so. I'll talk to you then.
Like, I don't know anything about cats, but can you cat sit and go to work? Or, because a lot of people, I think, have cats and have a job. It would be funny if the number one job interview question is, do you have a cat?
Isn't that a protected class, being a cat owner?
Yeah, because they want you to show up to work. How much drama is your cat, and can you have a cat and do your job?
My girlfriend is codependent with our cat. If anything should ever happen to him that requires any kind of nursing, even if it's optional nursing, but the vet's like, maybe you should stay home with him, she's staying home with him. So from that perspective, I see it. But from before I ever owned a cat, I would never be able to see it.
Okay. It doesn't make so experience with somebody who has a tattoo of their cat on them, you could understand.
I mean, I love my cat too, but he's really annoying.
How is that possible in the same sentence? To love your cat too, but he's really annoying.
Well, Jim, do you like me?
Yeah, I actually do. I play...
And I'm annoying, aren't I?
I play a character on the radio where I don't, but I do. I do.
Well, I'm pretty annoying, Jim. If you like me, then it's the same logic.
Okay, all right, I understand. David, if we are listening to cats, maybe we like David as well. We've got breaking news on the Wheel of Fortune front, David.
Wow.
We found the clip that Jim was looking for. Here it is. Wow. This is, I don't know why I find this so entertaining. There, the lady
Not
guessed.
really.
Okay, well, the lady guessed L, and then the next guy's like, well, how about an L?
deferential to the amount of L's, right? I mean, you kept playing it.
Yeah, that is...
The all-new
Wheel of Morons.
Is there an L? Could be that. Wheel of Morons. Before we wrap things up, David, in Florida, of course in Florida, could be a law that is passed to mandate dogs no longer stick their head out of car windows.
Why?
Because apparently some dogs, well, car windows, random stones could be kicked up from the car in front. I don't know. I didn't know that dogs were losing eyes or some scraps from something else.
I suppose if you sideswipe like a semi-truck, your dog's in trouble.
It would be, but I've never heard of that. But it's somebody beyond being cautious going, how about, while we're doing all this other stuff, how about dogs with their... That's super cute, isn't it? Dogs with heads out window?
It is, and for a country and a state, Florida, that loves, they're like putting laws on the books, don't they?
They do way too many laws on the books, and I think sadly we're out of time because I wanted to play a clip from South Park this past weekend and why Meghan and Harry is thinking about suing, but we'll get to that in Slow News Day. David, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Jim, a great pleasure. See you then.
All right, David Cooper, and David Cooper ruins the show each Wednesday and Thursday. Slow News Day is next on the iHeart Talk Radio Network.
Hi, it's Keith Bean from beancars.ca in Carlin Place, and I'm here with our sales manager, Kelsey Miragway. Kelsey, what is happening?
Trucks are rolling in with inventory and sold units. There are trade-ins coming from the sold units. Keith, it's just so exciting.
Supply is getting better. We finally have about 40 Silverados and Sierras in stock. 22s we have left, we are taking $4,000 off MSRP, and GM is offering 1.49% financing, OAC, up to 72 months.
Wow, that's a deal. Plus, we are writing orders for spring delivery of pickups, SUVs, and sports cars.
And we're locking in all the variables. If you commit to an order, we will lock in your finance rate,
lock in your trade value,
and lock in the purchase price, all as long in a 2023.
So please don't wait until spring. Stop by or email us now and let us go to work for you.
It's happening now, and it's so exciting at beancars.ca.
The 4-day work week put to the test. This is Omar Sachedina. Tonight on CTV National News, the results are in from the largest trial in the world. Full details tonight at 11 and at ctvnews.ca.
Hudson's Bay is bringing back BOGO on clearance items. Deals you can't miss on Mango, Levi's, Steve Madden, and quantities last. This offer won't last long. Buy one, get one free on items already reduced. In-store only at Hudson's Bay. Some exclusions apply.
United Way East Ontario knows that local love lives right here in our communities. Every day, we see incredible acts of kindness from people like you who don't hesitate to lend a helping hand. With your continued support, we can tackle issues like poverty, social isolation, and mental health. Together, we can make a difference for thousands of residents who depend on United Way. Donate today at United.ca or call 613-228-6700.
Fill your cart with Reno Carlton Casino's food, fuel, and fun giveaway with over $50,000 in prizes to be won. Every Friday and Saturday from February 3rd to the 25th, 27 daily winners will get $50 in gift cards, and 10 even luckier winners will receive $500 in gift cards. Plus, guests 50 or better are invited to join us Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for the classic Rockers treatment. And only Reno Carlton Casino, Future Hard Rock. Play smart, must be a Rockstar Rewards member and 19 years of age or older.
Introducing TSN Plus.
What a game changer.
Canada's new home for PGA Tour Live.
Are you kidding me?
Exclusive data-enhanced feeds, plus more goals, dunks, aces, and speed. Visit tsn.ca/TSN Plus to learn more.
You don't have to look far to find the best spring hockey as the AAA tournaments take over the city starting this April. The National Capital Region will be host to 9 of the most organized and well-run AAA hockey tournaments of your spring season at the very best facilities. Join teams from across Ontario, Quebec, and beyond in what is sure to be the most memorable tournament experience of your spring at a Sensplex Spring AAA Tournament. Register at sensplex.ca/spring tournaments.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well,
Trying to find a needle in a haystack? Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. That's ziprecruiter.ca/Canada. ziprecruiter.ca/Canada.
This season, get the hottest deals for the coldest streets. Only at Streetswear Kids. Zip up for a better night's sleep on the street with the pavement parka. Step on broken glass and needles with Kevlar kicks. Panhandle in a cashless society with the tap 20% off. Because the truth is, 20% of Canadians facing homelessness are youth. This collection doesn't exist. Neither should youth homelessness. Buy a toque at raisingtheroof.org and help end youth homelessness.
Calling all farmers. CTV's matchmaking show Farming for Love is looking for more single farmers who are searching for their perfect match. To start your love story, apply at ctv.ca/farmingforlove.
Exclusions and conditions apply.
It's News Talk tonight on the iHeartRadio Talk Network. Here's your host, Jim Richards.
All right. Here's Fred Rogers, folks.
I hope that you'll remember.
It's You I Like. Well, I'll get
that
to
it's
it.
You I like.
Okay, can you turn that down? Got a developing situation from Jim Richards' foot. Earlier today, it was announced that a segment would be on the show called What's in Jim Richards' Shoe. As the day developed, Jim thought maybe I should take my shoe off and just turn it upside down and find out what's in my shoe. But he thought, let's save it for the show. And so here we are. I have or have not, Christina show, I have or have not taken off my shoe.
You have taken off your shoe.
Andrew, we need a second source on that for the listeners.
You have taken off that shoe.
There's my shoe. I'm now going to turn my shoe upside down to find out, in the big reveal, ladies and gentlemen, what Jim Richards' shoe. Can we get a drum roll? Or how about any sort of... all right. Unless we have a drum roll, that will be good enough. Here is what is in Jim Richards' shoe. Nothing. How can that be?
It wasn't your shoelace, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Did you check your sock?
Is it stuck on my sock? No, there's nothing in my shoe. Tune in tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, when maybe this reminds me of that Geraldo Rivera event when they were going to unveil Capone. What was his name? Capone. Al Capone, Joe Capone. When they opened up Al Capone's, what a disappointment, ladies and gentlemen. Are there any apologies involved? No, because it was all in the learning. All in. Sorry, I know, big letdown. It's time for Slow News Day. Christina?
All right. So today's Pancake Tuesday.
Pancake Tuesday, which reminds me, guys, on the menu, pancakes or waffles. Andrew?
I'm pancakes.
Pancakes? What about you, Christina?
Team waffles all the way.
I think I would also go waffles, which is, I know it's not Waffle Tuesday, but what if it was, Christina, waffles or French toast?
Oh, French toast.
What about you, Andrew?
I'd go French toast as well.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard it live. No, I can't say go to hell because it's a very religious holiday. And, of course, I was raised Catholic. My older brother is a Catholic priest. And I always say the way you become an atheist is a good Catholic education. That's a quote from me. Don't blame anybody else. All right, what's next on Slow News Day?
Okay, so a new study from New York University said that it takes us less than 5 seconds to decide if we like a song, and our opinions don't change depending on whether we listen to a snippet or the whole thing. But in general, we like the song more if we hear the whole thing before the excerpt.
Oh, I think that's true. There are songs that I've liked that, you know, when you listen to hit radio, they play the same song every 90 minutes. And then, like, I could hate that song, like 3 days later. But I guess that's probably usually true. If you like it, you're going to like it in the first 5 seconds. So I will say that is news.
Okay, so next news story is Shania Twain talked about how it is a blessing to not always know what's around the corner, and that if she did know about the music industry, it may have deterred her from trying to become a professional musician.
If I would have understood how difficult the music industry would be as a professional recording artist, maybe that would have... I don't know, but I would say it's okay if you don't always know what's ahead.
I gotta say, that's, first of all, I don't think that's news, but if somebody told you, hey, you're going to be famous, you're going to make millions of dollars, but there might be some difficulties along the way, would you say, no, I'm going to stay in Southern Ontario and be the lead singer for the house band at Deerhurst? Probably not, which she was, by the way. I'm sure it was difficult, but she's made $1 gazillion. So I'm calling BS on her honesty. What's the next news story?
This one is Ozzy Osbourne is in another new ad.
Next.
Okay.
Yep. Next.
So how's this for iconic? A woman named Simona got laid off by TikTok in New York City. The next day, she returned to the company to turn in her things and posted it on TikTok. Listen as she roams the multicolored hallways and fills her bag with candy and chips. She calls them company assets.
Come with me to steal company because I was laid off. I didn't get let in at first, but then my ID worked. We have these not a we anymore. Never get to thinking you're irreplaceable in the corporate world. This is where they keep the company assets. This is super private information, so please don't share with anyone. But yeah, I worked here, so, I was taking what was rightfully mine. I did end up giving most of it away to a person on the subway, but whatever. Here's my laptop and ID. Had to return those to IT.
She gave chips away. Great stuff. TikTok is amazing. Not news.
Okay, so last week's South Park went really hard on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They are considering a lawsuit. Here's a clip from the show, one of the many times that it made fun of the hypocrisy of them wanting privacy while doing multiple media interviews.
Can I just say that the bit was that they're on their world tour, We Want Privacy, and it's kind of funny, and the irony there.
On the show. It's so awesome to be here. So let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family. You've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Where?
It's actually, I got a big kick out of it, but it is news since it's in the news that they're thinking of suing South Park. Get thicker skin. Jeez. I mean, they're just jokes that hurt your feelings. What's next, Christina?
Okay. 4 people were injured after a decorative helicopter fell from the ceiling.
I don't know. People were hurt. I shouldn't do that. That was actual news. I'm not mocking anybody who fell, but I just didn't think we had time to finish it. So I thought, let me end it there and say it's not news, but it really is. It's a bad story. Christina, thank you very much. Will you come back tomorrow?
I will come back tomorrow.
Great stuff. Just don't. Also, Andrew will be back tomorrow as well. I'm Jim Richards. Don't forget to check out our podcast. Enjoy your evening and go Brave.
Calling all farmers. CTV's matchmaking show Farming for Love is looking for more single farmers who are searching for their perfect match. Your love story, apply at ctv.ca/farmingforlove. Hudson's Bay is bringing back BOGO on clearance items. Deals you can't miss on Mango, Levi's, Steve Madden, and more, while quantities last. This offer won't last long. Buy one, get one free on items already reduced. In-store only at Hudson's Bay. Some exclusions apply.
3 more have been shot down.
The Vashi Capello Show.
What does that tell you?
Keeps you informed.
How big of a decision is it to actually shoot something down out of the sky?
Hard-hitting interviews.
Entertaining analysis.
And lively debate. As Defense Minister, how after the events of the last 2 weeks?
Plus, breaking news as it comes into our newsroom.
Why should Canadians be confident?
The Vashi Capello Show. Weekdays at noon.
Your government will be able to achieve what it set out.
On News Talk 580 CFRA, Ottawa's home for live local breaking news.
You're listening to CTV News, live on News Talk 580 CFRA.
Biden's rallying cry in Warsaw.
NATO will not be divided, and we will not tire.
As Vladimir Putin tries to up the nuclear ante. Winter's wrath, from whiteouts to spinouts.
Probably slid a good 40 feet.
The frigid forecast and the warnings covering most of Canada.
It's really a big.
Plus, the push for a 4-day work week.
It's a fantastic idea. You need to recharge. Everybody's burned out.
An extra day off. The results of the biggest test run in the world.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, everyone. The leaders of two long-standing global rivals different visions of the future today, just days before the 1-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine. Speaking to thousands in Warsaw, U.S. President Joe Biden praised Western resolve and world democracies for standing up for freedom. And in Moscow, in a speech of his own, Vladimir Putin, addressing the Russian parliament, suspended a key nuclear arms U.S. and blamed the West for starting the war. And Putin's dangerous display of defiance is where we begin tonight with CTV's chief international correspondent, Paul Workman.
Consider the timing of Vladimir Putin's State of the Nation address. Almost a year to the day since he triggered the invasion of Ukraine, still taunting his enemies with a fierce and familiar lie. I want to repeat, he said, they started the war in Ukraine. We are using force to stop it. Rousing his audience to applaud 53 times, blaming, condemning, and turning his back on the only nuclear weapons treaty still intact with America. Announcing suspension of the treaty, but careful to say it was not a full withdrawal. Evoking a terse reaction from the head of NATO.
More nuclear weapons and less arms control makes the world more dangerous.
In Kyiv, where destroyed Russian armor has become an almost permanent street display, Putin no longer incites fear the way he did a year ago.
First of all, I was terrified, actually. It was, you didn't know what to do.
With Russia, Vadik Lazarev closed his cafe and fled, and like many others, came back feeling stronger.
So when Putin talks now, you're not afraid of him at all?
No, totally.
Not so far away in Moscow, Putin delivered a nearly 2-hour speech marked by grievance, animosity, ridicule, and a vow that Russia will never be defeated. As that one-year anniversary approaches, Ukraine has ordered schools to hold classes remotely, worried that Russia will launch yet another punishing barrage of missile strikes, Omar.
All right, Paul, thanks. And just hours after Putin delivered that State of the Nation address, Joe Biden spoke in Warsaw. CTV's Vanessa Lee reports from the Polish capital tonight.
Outside of the royal castle in Warsaw, in front of tens of thousands, U.S. President Joe Biden to defend democracy.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
With the war about to enter its second year, this was a moment for Biden to solidify NATO support for Ukraine.
Well, I just come from a visit to Kyiv, and I can report Kyiv stands strong. Kyiv stands proud. It stands tall. And most important, it stands free.
Polish President Andrzej Duda thanked Biden for what he called an extraordinary gesture, saying his visit has boosted morale and shows Ukraine the free world has not forgotten them. Poland has been a strong supporter of its neighbor, hosting more refugees than any other country, spending billions to provide housing and health care in addition to aid. In an interview with CTV News, Poland's Deputy Foreign Minister Paweł Jabłoński says they are ready to send fighter jets.
We want to talk about all the equipment that is being sent together with other NATO allies, together with all that are willing to support it, the same as we did with tanks.
Jabłoński says Russia must be defeated, and it's not just Ukraine's independence.
Ukraine defends itself, but it also defends other countries. That is why we need to support it, because otherwise we are next.
Tomorrow, President Biden will meet with a group of NATO allies from Eastern Europe, including Poland, to reaffirm support for Ukraine, but also for their own security. Omar.
Vanessa Lee in Warsaw tonight. Vanessa, thank you. Rescuers in Turkey who haven't had a break from the first quake a little more than 2 weeks ago are continuing their painstaking work after a second one yesterday. Survivors' body was recovered near a partially collapsed building in southern Turkey. In all, at least 6 people were killed and hundreds injured in the 6.4 quake. This Vancouver teacher was there as the ground shook.
I heard a lot of screaming, a lot of panic. There was a lot of anxiety attacks among people, and children were crying.
She took this video. She arrived in Turkey just 2 days ago after losing 6 family members in the quake and is now helping survivors. More than 46,000 people died in Turkey and Syria. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is ordering the railway company responsible for a train derailment carrying toxic chemicals in East Palestine, Ohio, 18 days ago to pay for the cleanup cost.
Norfolk Southern will be held accountable.
If the company doesn't comply, the EPA insists it will have to pay triple the cost of the cleanup. Norfolk Southern is already facing several lawsuits from residents who say they are experiencing health issues after the derailment.
Don't feel good. Can't. Heads ringing.
This moment, with the EPA chief and governor of Ohio drinking water from the tap, marks the most recent effort to reassure locals their water is safe. After months of interest rate hikes by the Bank of Canada, signs today inflation is easing. It was 5.9% last month, down from 6.3% the month before. Cost of living. CTV's Atlantic Bureau Chief Creason Ajkute explains why Canadians aren't feeling it at the supermarket.
A trip through the grocery store is hard on the wallet these days.
Just ask this Ottawa shopper who just spent $170.
No meats, no big products. It's just basic to get me through the next week.
The flour has gone up, the eggs has gone up.
Grocery January to 11.4% from the year before.
For the first time in 3 years, Canada's food inflation rate is now higher than in the U.S.
Meat is 7.3% more expensive now. Dairy 12.4%, vegetables 14.7%, and baked goods rising the most at 15.5%.
We've seen very high increases year to year on the grocery store side, and we're also starting to see it now on the on the food and restaurant side.
The war in Ukraine, the cost of fuel, supply chain issues, and climate change are all being blamed for the increased prices.
If you're doing the same thing you were doing last year to grocery shop, you're likely spending too much money. So you have to be a little bit more careful.
And for those living on a fixed income, it's a real struggle.
I'm a diabetic, so I have to try to eat healthy, and it's hard on the budget. I'm just on my pension, so yeah, it's a little rough.
And at this food bank, clients have doubled people a day because they can't afford groceries.
We're trying our best. I'd like to see it come down, but right now I can't see it.
At a time when Canadians are already paying for the high cost of living, experts say that these high grocery prices are here to stay, and shoppers won't see any relief until March or even April. Omar.
All right, Greason, thank you. The chief of a Vancouver Island First Nation says ground-penetrating radar has detected 17 suspected grave sites of the former Alberni residential school. It's the latest in a series of tragic discoveries at more than 20 former residential school sites. And as CTV's Ben Mildred reports, the Seychot First Nation believes dozens of children died at Alberni.
The Seychot First Nation began with a powerful ceremony to honor ancestors, children who didn't make it home from residential schools, and the survivors who protected their culture in the face of horrific abuses.
Even when they were allowed to speak their language or they weren't allowed to sing or dance, that's why we can get up in front of all of you and do what we did here today.
Between the 1890s and the 1960s, thousands of students from First Nations communities around BC were forced to attend the Alberni Indian Residential School, matching historical records with first-hand survivor accounts. The Seychot First Nation says it has confirmed at least 67 students died.
Different accounts of accidents, and I say that in quotations because historical record may be referred to something as an accident, but the account that survivors gave was intentional harm by staff.
The team also used ground-penetrating radar and drone photography to identify 17 potential unmarked grave sites. This was just phase 1 of the search and only covered a small portion of the 100 hectares.
This feels like the heaviest time that we've had to go through as people, as Indigenous people in Canada, where it feels like the weight of the world is on our shoulders, knowing that some of home.
The Seychot First Nation carried 67 teddy bears into the announcement, one for every deceased child, and it hopes to identify each one of them.
That's our commitment as Seychot, to bring these bears and return one to each one of those families that we have that information for.
There are a number of different First Nations involved in this work, and each one has its own protocols around death. So conversations about possible excavations or exhuming potential grave sites are very delicate. Never happen. Omar?
Such difficult days ahead. CTV's Ben Mildred in Vancouver. And a reminder, there's a 24-hour crisis line for residential school survivors and their families. That number is 1-866-925-4419. Canada's opposition leader is echoing calls from the Premier of Quebec to shut down the flow of asylum seekers through an irregular border crossing south of Montreal.
We need to close Roxham Road and more quickly process refugee and other claims so that people can come into the country.
Pierre Poilievre is calling on the Prime Minister to come up with a plan to close the crossing within 30 days. MPs looking into whether foreign interference played a role in Canada's 2021 federal election have expanded their study.
If established, what this amounts to
is an all-out assault on Canadian democracy by the Chinese Communist regime.
The committee is extending the investigation indefinitely. It comes in response to a report in the Globe and Mail that China worked to defeat conservative politicians considered unfriendly to Beijing, helping to ensure a liberal minority government. A massive storm in the U.S. is being tracked across 38 states tonight, affecting millions of Americans. Heavy rain, blizzard conditions, wind, and ice have made their way from California across the Midwest and up into the Northeast. That severe weather is also pushing into Canada, with the prairies, northern Ontario, and Quebec bracing for a bout of extreme. TV's Alberta Bureau Chief Bill Fortier reports on the cross-country winter lashing.
With dense, heavy snow blanketing southern Alberta overnight, the morning commute in Calgary was ugly.
Yeah, people are kind of all over the road, just naturally, as you can't see, where the lanes and things are.
City buses and many other vehicles couldn't make it up this hill. And this driver hit a snowbank while exiting off a freeway.
Yeah, it's too deep, so I try 1 hour to get out.
The fresh snow will usher in extreme cold temperatures over the coming days in Alberta, across the prairies, northern Ontario, and Quebec. With highs in the mid-20s, the weather can be dangerous, especially for people living on the streets.
In the cold, hypothermia, amputations, frostbite, these are all very real concerns.
And southern Ontario is also getting a taste of whiteout conditions. Hit this highway near Ottawa today, ahead of larger storms in the coming days.
And this does look like it's going to be a fairly extensive event.
Environment Canada says the extreme weather is a result of two weather systems, an Alberta Clipper and a Colorado low moving east, both fueled by a powerful polar vortex blowing cold air down from the north.
So it's really a very active pattern, but it's largely associated with how significant and how intense the Arctic vortex is at this point in time.
On the upside, the extreme cold here should be short-lived, with temperatures returning to near zero and Calgary by the weekend. Omar.
And if you need some more hope, spring now less than a month away. Bill, thank you. Time for a short break, but when we come back, a frustrating fight path.
They told me this is for your own security. And I said, I'm not a criminal.
From an emergency landing to landing in detention. Plus,
it's been quite nice to have that extra day. You see your friends and family.
The long game for a shorter work week.
You're no longer a good fit for the company.
Laid off from your job? You need employmentlawyer.ca. Answer a few simple questions, and in seconds you'll receive free answers for your workplace issues. Go to employmentlawyer.ca. Find out if you should receive a termination package from your employer and calculate how much severance you are legally owed. Always check with the employment lawyer Lior Samfiru. employmentlawyer.ca.
Southam Hall, February 26th, with special guest Stephen Labrie. Ticketmaster.ca. For more info, visit ildevo.com.
Hi, I'm Brian Berlott, CEO at Maxis Staffing and Recruitment. Are you currently seeking temporary or permanent employment? Maxis can assist you in landing the perfect position today. Professional, IT, administration, call center, assembly or trades, get the job you want. Visit maxis.ca, MAXSYS.ca.
Maxis has helped over 100,000 people get jobs. Let them help today. Visit maxis.ca.
Searching online for questions about your health isn't always healthy. You'll type in a question right before bed like, why do I keep getting hives? And whoosh, you're hurtling through an internet rabbit hole. One sleepless night later, you've thrown out all your lotions, body washes, soaps, and detergents because you're definitely allergic to everything. Or you could just talk to a registered nurse. Stop going down internet rabbit holes and start connecting to care. Visit ontario.ca/yourhealth to find pharmacists, nurses, and answers, and see all the ways we're helping you connect to care. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
You're listening to Live on News Talk 580 CFRA.
flight to Canada from Mexico was anything but for one passenger who found himself locked in a room overnight in Florida because of a paperwork issue. CTV's Heather Butts has the story.
Moments of panic as oxygen masks dropped on this Flair Airlines flight from Cancun, Mexico to Toronto, forcing an emergency landing in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Clap when the plane lands because I don't like to do that, but this was the first time that I did.
But Louisa Labarda would have little to celebrate in the hours ahead, while others sailed through customs or received temporary visas until another plane could take them to Canada. For the 25-year-old student, that was not the case.
And I tried to explain them, like, I didn't try to come to the U.S.
Alabarda, who is Mexican, had applied to visit the States more than a year ago, but was rejected, he says, because of an issue with documentation.
They told me, like, you already been denied for a visa application.
He says he and 4 other men were searched and placed in a locked room. They were kept overnight and returned to the airport in a prisoner transport van.
They said, okay, you're not under arrest, but you are detained.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection says officers make these determinations on a case-by-case basis.
This is something that Canada does routinely to foreign visitors. When they first come to Canada, if there's an issue with their paperwork.
Flair Airlines says it did its best to get all passengers processed quickly. However, for Alabarda, who has a heart condition, he was disappointed with the airline.
If right, we are not allowed to go to the U.S., and I respect that. But what about the medical assistance? What about the food? What about somebody to tell me, hey, you need to make a call?
Louise Alabarda says the airline has offered him an apology, a refund, and 2 tickets anywhere they fly. But he says he's not interested in flying with them. Heather Butts, CTV News.